What's up and welcome back to Bardown Talking Hockey episode number 136, presented by the Barroom Network. My name is Vinny Parisi, and I wake up sad that Tom Brady's no longer in the NFL every single day. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller, and he looks like he's wearing a nice little Chicago Blackhawks hat. Frank, how you doing?
Good. How you doing? What's up, Travis, Tom, Skokes?
Travis
Um,
Tom Skokes.
I had a question for you that I specifically wanted to save for the start of the show.
Hell yeah, let's hear it.
What's your take on Swiss cheese?
My take on Swiss cheese. It's a very unique cheese. It is not a cheese that goes on everything. I actually just had Swiss cheese in my favorite setting for Swiss cheese 2 nights ago when I had it as the topper for French onion soup. French onion soup is delightful with Swiss cheese. Would Swiss cheese be on my Mount Rushmore of cheeses? I don't think so. But that's not a slight on Swiss cheese. It would definitely be in my top 10 of all the cheeses. It's an imperfect cheese. It kind of is like I only eat Swiss cheese on Sunday. Like that phrase makes sense to me. It's an imperfect cheese. I think if any cheese should have holes in it naturally, it would be Swiss cheese because like there's holes in Swiss cheese, both figuratively and literally. You can't use cheese on a breakfast. I wouldn't want Swiss cheese on a breakfast sandwich, right? I need cheddar. I need pepper jack. I need American. I wouldn't use Swiss cheese on like my nachos, right? Like there's just absolutely no world where I would want Swiss cheese on my nachos. It'd be weird. But like French onion soup, a ham and Swiss on rye, woo! Get
Oh,
me
ham and
going.
Swiss.
Get me going with the Swiss cheese. So, yeah, I think Skokes had French onion soup. You got to get the tendies from Village Tavern. Village has outstanding tendies. It's my number one honey mustard in the world. Maybe number two. I really like Sporty's honey mustard too. I don't know your take on that. But back to Swiss cheese. I think Swiss cheese is it's like a running back that you can only use in certain packages. Remember Tariq Cohen?
Mm-hmm.
Tariq Cohen on the Bears? You
Yep.
couldn't use him for north-south rushing at all. They had Jordan Howard for that, and then it eventually became Jordan Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
Not Jordan Montgomery, David Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery is the pitcher. Um, you need Tariq Cohen for these special packages, though. East-west running, trick plays. You need Swiss cheese for certain packages. That's how I feel about Swiss cheese. You could draft Swiss cheese in the 4th round out of Florida, and he's going to give you some good reps in your games. I like Swiss cheese.
Very interesting because I've always liked Swiss cheese. You know the ongoing joke I had with our family, like, "Where's my ham and Swiss?"
Yeah.
I'm a big Swiss cheese guy.
Who brought you a ham and Swiss?
My Aunt Juju and you, right?
I
think
did bring you one from
but
Panera.
was she first though?
She probably was first.
You were the first one to actually like bring me a ham and Swiss. The one she brought me, I had to make. It was lunch meat, but you were the first one to bring me like a ham and Swiss.
Yes.
But the reason I'm bringing it up is because the other day I forgot where we were. I think it was Arby's, and we substituted the cheese on one of their chicken sandwiches because every time I go there, I get the double beef and cheddar. I'm like, instead of getting a double beef and cheddar, I'll get a slider of beef and cheddar, and I want to try their chicken sandwich. And we substituted the cheese on it with Swiss, and I'm like, this right here is just all the more reason why I love Swiss so much. And then I began to think, I'm like, is it on my Mount Rushmore? I think absolutely. I think it's a top 2 cheese, maybe even pushing favorite cheese. I really like Colby Jack. Colby Jack was my number 1 for a while.
Colby Jack is
But
delicious.
Swiss, but I agree with you. You can't, like, I don't know if I want Swiss cheese nachos. I'd eat them. They'd be great, but that's just not the cheese you use for nachos.
See, I think you like it more than I do, but I still love it, if that makes sense.
Now, a hot ham and Swiss sandwich, that's like
So
above
good.
everything else.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
can't
yeah.
have, like, ham and cheddar is good, but ham and Swiss is like S tier.
Yes. Yes. Ham and cheddar is probably the second best for ham. But if I were to make just a Mount Rushmore of cheeses to eat plain, I don't think it would be on it. Although I would eat it plain if hey, Vinny, I got a slice of Swiss here. You want one?
See,
sure.
I'm not a cheese guy where I would just eat it plain. I'm not like that.
Oh, see, I can dummy a charcuterie board.
But I would, like, if I put it with meat on the
Yeah,
charcuterie board or
for sure.
crackers. But I'm not
sure.
a guy just to like snack on it. And I'm in the vast minority.
Yeah, I
But
would say so. But not everyone likes Swiss cheese. It,
no,
it's not
I think I'm in the minority for that, for how much I like it.
for
Does
how
it
much you like it. Yes, for liking it though, I would say it's the tomato of cheeses. More
Yeah,
people like it, I
that's a
think,
perfect analogy, actually.
but
The
like
tomato of
enough
cheeses.
people don't. Where like you would say, "Hey, is it okay if I put tomatoes on this?" Well,
Colby's amazing, up there on my Mount Rushmore. Pepper Jack, it's probably right outside my Mount Rushmore, but
yeah,
I like Pepper Jack.
when I think of Pepper Jack, I think of like a gritty, mean left tackle. You need him on your team in order to succeed. But
Like a
like
Nick
he's
Bosa.
yeah, or okay
Or
on defense. See, I think of Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa's like your cheddar.
wow.
Like he's like a
Cheddar on
main
defense?
he's a main component of your defense, like superstar. Yeah, every offense has a cheddar, every defense has a cheddar.
It's,
Is cheddar your number one cheese? It's not yours, clearly.
it's
Yours is
probably
between
the it's probably the number 1 nationwide if you had a poll,
I would think so. It's the most universal.
or American.
It's the most universal. So like a good way to compare cheddar is like a utility player in baseball. Like, Ben Zobrist. Ben Zobrist could play short if Chris Bryant was hurt that day or taking a day off. Ben Zobrist could play third base. You could put I think Ben Zobrist in his prime is at second base. But like cheddar in its prime is on a sandwich, but it has other areas where it's outstanding. Vinny, if you're ever mad at Katie, have some Limburger cheese. I'm gonna have to Google what Limburger cheese is and consult my lawyer before I
It's very
answer
stinky.
that. Oh, it stinks. Oh, okay. Okay. Does it taste good?
Skokes, I forgot about
No,
provolone.
provolone. Frank, we're
That's a Mount
Italian. Frank,
that's
we're
a Mount
Italian.
Rushmore of mine. I love provolone.
We're Italian too.
Oh my
Skokes.
god.
I don't think Skokes is Italian. I don't know Skokes' nationality. I'm not gonna. I know what Skokes stands for. I'm not gonna reveal it. I don't know if he wants that to be known.
I know
But
what it stands for.
Skokes knows his Italian shit. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. He Villanopoli, provolone cheese. He's eating this place from this gabagoo place. What a smart guy Skokes is. Provolone is outstanding. Now, where does a provolone need to be for you though?
Um, Lunch meat sandwich. Like if
Lunch
I go
meat
to
sandwich.
Subway or something, it's the cheese I ask for the most.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I'm up in the air. Like I don't. There's not a ton of cheeses I don't like. I'm not a blue cheese guy,
I don't like blue cheese either. I like the dressing for my chicken wings, but other than that, I hate blue cheese.
but to like put it on a sandwich,
No,
uh, I mean everything else I really like. Here's Limburger.
Limburger. It kind of looks like brie but square.
It doesn't look that bad, but
No, I
apparently
would
the
try it.
smell is.
I
She
would
says it
try it.
smells like feet.
Fromunda cheese. You
Tom
know,
says, "I ate the cheese, but your breath will kill a moose at 50 yards."
wow. Holy shnikes.
Now
All
it's
right,
like I want to try it.
no, we have to try it together. Like we
Oh
can't even
yeah,
just try it separately. I like provolone for an Italian lunch meat sandwich, like specifically an Italian. It's got to have capicola and
it's
salami and prosciutto. It's got to have all that stuff.
CP. It says Wisconsin Limburger. You're in Wisconsin all the time. Bring back some Limburger.
I'll bring
It
back some Limburger.
it says the smell. There's a description on Google if you type it up. Its legendary odor has been compared to body odor, stinky feet, and a variety of dead or dying creatures.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
I wonder if I were
Wow,
to
wow,
die,
wow.
would I smell like Limburger cheese?
Maybe that's how they get it.
Ooh, just the scent from dead people. This is some eighth or some sixth sense shit we're uncovering here, Frank. All right, really quick before we move off cheeses, what is the Mount Rushmore of cheeses?
All right. Well, for sure, Swiss. Colby Jack. Is nacho cheese a thing?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Nacho cheese for
it's on
sure.
mine. It's
Because
on
I could put
mine.
that on everything.
I can stick my head under the fountain and just let it run in my mouth.
4 is tough because 4 is between a white cheddar or
I love
provolone.
white cheddar.
Or provolone.
White cheddar and normal cheddar are on mine.
I think I'm gonna give it to white cheddar. So Colby, white cheddar, Swiss, and nacho cheese is my Mount Rushmore. And then
Very good.
provolone is right outside at 5. Pepper jack's right there at 6. Yeah.
Very good.
What's yours?
Yeah, I'm going white cheddar, like a Vermont white cheddar, Normal cheddar, yellow cheddar, orange cheddar, whatever the H you call it. I would put nacho cheese, and then I'm going to throw a sneaky one in there. And I think it's on there right now. It could come off, but right now I'm into it because of a restaurant we've been going to lately called QP. Feta.
Wow, that's a wild move.
Feta is
Woo!
delightful.
Got
Now,
hot in here.
just on the outside, provolone, pepper jack, Swiss, American from a deli. Kraft American singles stink. Wouldn't feed it to my dog.
To me, American is like a little overrated.
It is overrated. But like,
I'll almost always substitute it.
yeah, unless I know it's a fresh deli piece of American, then I like it on a homemade lunch meat sandwich.
That's fair.
But like, most of the time, like, give me cheddar over it. McDonald's uses American, and I think they have the best American cheese in the world. I don't know where they get it from. I don't know if they got the cow in the back producing the milk, but
very fair. Overpriced.
Overpriced. But
A
McDonald's breakfast
$1.
sandwiches, yeah. McDonald's breakfast sandwiches use American, and it is the best American I think I've tasted to date. I'll ask for an extra damn piece, and I'll pay $4. Don't care.
Stokes has a wild top 3.
Chihuahua cheese.
Provolone cheddar Chihuahua top 3. Wow.
Would
have never guessed.
Chihuahua. Wow.
Chihuahua. Wow.
Chihuahua. All right, Frank. That's enough on cheese. I think it's time we start talking about Cheese's favorite sport, hockey, in period number 1.
The graphics gone, VP.
It can't be.
I swear to God.
The graphic for all of them?
To send it to the next. Oh, wait. Okay. Yep. Say it again.
We're going to send it over to Cheese's favorite sport, hockey, in period number 1. I didn't think it was gone.
I got nervous.
The show wouldn't feel right.
I got nervous.
The show would not feel right without that graphic and that little.
I got really nervous. I saw no clips at all.
That was very funny. Frankie thought we were gonna have to like improvise. But yeah, Frank, is hockey Cheese's favorite sport?
Yeah, because it's often referred to for goaltenders as Swiss cheese.
I was thinking of like the cheese heads with the Packers. No other sport has a literal like hat that you wear that resembles cheese. I would probably say football is, because one specific fan base is referred to as the cheese heads.
That's fair.
Who would be the cheese heads of the NHL? I think there's a clear and obvious answer.
The Wild?
No.
I just think of green. Minnesota, kind of close to Wisconsin.
Yeah, no, I get your thought. It's not a terrible guess.
I don't even know where to begin then. Cause
I would absolutely think it's Nashville.
The Cheeseheads?
Yeah.
Oh.
They'll wear that shit.
Just the color?
Yeah. It just would look good with a Predators jersey. Nice cheese head with a little pecorine action.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, or the Wild with their new alternates.
Just because I think of like the green, I associate the Packers close to Wisconsin. And there's some Minnesota fans who get their cheese from Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, I get cheese from Wisconsin.
Right, so Illinois. It's like, I mean, I get what you're saying. It would match the best with Nashville.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm wrong. Minnesota has won their alternates already. I think nice cheesehead would look good with that jersey. It's pretty close to yellow. Frank, the Calgary Flames have yellow in their jersey. They stink.
They do stink. Very bad.
Stink bad.
They currently sit 6th in the Pacific Division as we speak. And for a team that I had a lot more hope of during the offseason, they come into the new season on a very, very bad swing. They've now won back-to-back games for the first time this season, so congrats to them. Maybe this is the start of getting out of their rut. Markstrom finally got in the win column again. That was much needed. It's his only win since October 11th, which was their season opener. That is insane. I mean, it's a very good win for them, the game they played against the Predators yesterday, because they found themselves down 2-0. And right now, Vladar and Markstrom, they've been terrible. And this isn't a terrible duo, but they're playing terrible. And, if you'll remember when Joey was a co-host on this podcast, when it was 3 of us, I talked a lot of shit about Markstrom, and he kind of backed me up a couple of years ago. Or maybe it was last year. I don't really remember, but I remember referring to him as a bit overrated, and I didn't understand why NHL or EA Sports gave him the rating that he did. I mean, it pains me to see him like this because I don't think he's really overrated. I like Markstrom, but neither goalie has it right now. And another thing that's kind of, been troubling this team is Ryan Huska took over for the Calgary Flames. And honestly, his system has not been working so far. We all know it takes time. Obviously, you have a new coach comes in, it takes time for the system to work, but this is a hard change that the players are going to have to get used to, and I think that's a major problem. The other problem is that Jonathan Huberdeau, he's gone blank. I mean, nowhere to be seen. This isn't the Huberdeau we saw in Florida. Florida stole the trade as it is now for Kachuk, and it's not even close in my opinion. Mangiapane right now leads the team with 4 goals. Lindholm leads the team in points with 8, and Huberdeau has 2 goals and 4 assists. Are you kidding me? I mean, not even on the ice, but they're having a lot of off ice problems too. You got players calling out other players on the team on social media and free agent signings putting on hold in the organization. I mean, right now there's a lot of ruckus, and I think this is hurting the team overall. I mean, nobody appears to be on the same page. And I think their next opponent they'll play is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Very winnable game the way they've been playing. The Maple Leafs haven't done anything special this year to make me think this is going to be a Leaf dominated game. The one thing the Flames will have to make sure that they do, though, is get on the board first and don't play from behind like they did against Nashville. They won that game. They might not be able to do that against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Absolutely. And I forgot to preface before I got into the Calgary Flames conversation. The entire first period is dedicated to the Battle of Alberta. I called it the Battle of Al Stinky on our sheet because, I've just noticed that both teams are off to the worst start that they could possibly have imagined. We thought they'd both be playoff contenders coming into this season, so I wanted to kind of talk about both. We recapped the Heritage Classic last time on the show, and now neither team has played particularly well at all since the Heritage Classic. In fact, that win last night for the Calgary Flames was the first win for either team since the Heritage Classic,
It's crazy.
which is absolutely bananas. When I wrote the sheet, Frank, it was 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came all the way back and they won. And, so it's not as bad. They ended the losing streak. But I'm with you on Huberdeau. Benched yesterday.
Tough.
Played 2 shifts in the second and third period combined.
Mhm.
Weird.
Ryan Huska, man.
Yeah. I do agree. It takes time for systems to be implemented. It just doesn't come, right away. Sometimes, every now and then a team will put in a new system with a new coach and it'll start to click right away. It's not happening with the Flames.
Mhm.
They thought Huberdeau was going to be like their dynamic star. I remember when the trade first happened, we both figured Florida would come out on top as the winner of the trade. But we also both felt it was impossible for Calgary to straight up win in this scenario. You're giving up a top 10 player. If you lose the best player in the trade in their prime, chances are you can't declare yourself the winner of the trade. But it's like it was that or lose him the following offseason for nothing like they did with Johnny Hockey.
Yep.
And so they got something. They got Uyghur, who's great. I don't think there's
Fantastic.
questioning that. And Huberdeau, he's been a disappointment. The biggest issue for Calgary is contracts. It's going to be really hard to rebuild with some of these contracts that are on the books. Luckily, they have a lot of contracts also coming off the books, and they're certainly not going to be looking to replace, any of them. I'm stunned that all they got in return for Tyler Toffoli is Yegor Sharangovich. He leads the Devils in goals. A high-scoring team. Tyler Toffoli leads in goals right now. I don't think he leads in goals by the end of the season, but because there's a lot of hockey left to play. There's a lot of overreactions going on in the league right now. But for some reason with Calgary and Edmonton, it doesn't feel like an overreaction. I don't know why. Other teams could get off to a mediocre start or a hot start, and we're like, oh, it's early. We'll see. Like, for example, I don't really think the Devils have played particularly well to start the season. And they're 7-4-1. So, nobody's going to, overreact to anything like that because they're 7-4-1. It's a good record. They found ways to win games regardless of some early season struggles and young defensemen. It doesn't feel like that with Calgary. It feels like the sky is falling. And I don't know how to fix it. I know I wrote down that I was going to imply that I had a way to fix it, but the only way to really fix it is to kind of commit to one direction or the other
Mhm.
and act on it. If you want to try and win out this season, keep going. Nice win against Nashville. We'll see what happens next when you play Toronto. Again, the Leafs are kind of in the same boat as the Devils. They haven't looked all that great, but they've won.
Mhm.
And I think that speaks to the talent of these types of squads. But like when they play against the Flames, if the Flames start off the way they did against Nashville, I mean, instead of it being like Ryan O'Reilly's having a good start, but like Nashville doesn't have the firepower that Toronto has. They're getting goals from their D, Tavares, Marner, Nylander, the core four, Matthews. Matthews leads the NHL in goals. The Sharks finally passed Matthews in goals yesterday. I thought that was pretty interesting. Like that's a guy they're going to have to try and contain. It's going to be tough treading for Calgary. And then they're our biggest rival, I should say, the Edmonton Oilers. A little bit more of the same. It actually feels like things are even worse
Oh yeah.
over in Edmonton, even though it felt differently a week ago because they won the Heritage Classic. But talk to me about the bad times that the Edmonton Oilers are currently going through.
Yeah, I mean, it is much worse. The standings show that they sit below the Flames in the Pacific Division in 7th with a record of 2-8-1. And honestly, this is rather shocking. But if you look a little closer and dig a little deep, is it really? Because first of all, they've played a decently tough schedule so far. They already played the Canucks 3 times, which the Canucks have been a wagon on fire. They've played the Stars. They've played the Rangers. And that's no excuse because you got to beat those teams in the end, especially if you're going to contend for the cup. And then they played some medium of the pack teams so far. They haven't really played anyone that was like bad that on paper, like the Sharks or
The Flyers.
the Flyers, the Ducks, even though the Ducks are playing well too. But on paper, you get what I'm saying. They've never played anybody like that. They did play the Flyers, but I mean, the Flyers have been playing well. They had that letdown yesterday to the Sharks, but my fear with this team has been this fear for a long time, and it's their goaltenders. And I've been saying that for quite a while, that Stuart Skinner might not be the goalie that everyone thinks he is. I mean, he has a 399 goals against and an 856 save percentage. And Campbell is a 450 goals against and an 873 save percentage. And this has been my fear for a while now. And plus, Jack Campbell was sent down to the AHL for the time being. So that doesn't even make anything better as of right now. The Oilers, this team as a whole, they're built around outscoring their opponents and not really worrying about goaltending. If we get an all-star stretch from Skinner like we did last year, fantastic. That's great. We could win a cup if he stays hot in the playoffs with Skinner. But banking on that to happen isn't worth the reward, and that is something we're seeing right now. And right now, Jay Woodcroft is doing everything he can to save his ass because honestly, his team and head coach is limited. I think his job's on the line. You're in the prime era of McDavid and Draisaitl, and you've been nothing but a letdown to start the season. Not only that, but right now they can't even score. Your biggest strength on this Edmonton Oilers team is scoring, and they can't score, they can't defend, they can't goaltend to save your life. If you can't do any of those 3 things, there needs to be a fix, and it's a shame to say, but the fix might have to come at the head coach at Woodcroft's expense. And this isn't all his responsibility. Like everything I'm saying doesn't fall on the head of Jay Woodcroft, right? But in sports, the one to pay is the head coach. You're not going to go fire your first line center. You're going to fire the coach. That's just the price to pay when you're a coach in sports. And the Oilers were a legit Stanley Cup contender coming into this year. We had them winning the division, but what we've seen so far has been anything but. So there's a lot of problems with the Oilers right now.
I couldn't agree more. Jay Woodcroft, in his career as the Edmonton Oilers head coach, you were a full-time partner on the program by the time he was hired.
Yeah.
He has like a 690 winning percent. He has a really good winning percentage
Fantastic.
with the Edmonton Oilers. He's gone if they lose to San Jose tomorrow.
Oh my God.
If they lose
You
to
have
San
to.
Jose, because not only San Jose would tie them in wins and points
Whew.
if the Sharks win this game in regulation
His
tomorrow.
head's on a stick right now.
The biggest game of the year is tomorrow night between the Edmonton Oilers and the San Jose Sharks. I'm telling you what, and guess what? I'm so here for it. Right when I'm done watching a 2-7 Bears team play a 1-8 Panthers team, I'm gonna roll over and watch a 1-10-1 Sharks team play a 2-8-2 Oilers team, and I can't freaking wait for it. It's
Crazy.
gonna be tomorrow's the type of night where like you see who the sports sickos in the world are. Are you gonna go from watching that dreadful Thursday night game to watching that dreadful Sharks game? Yes, I am. Can't wait. It's gonna be great. But like I said, that's when the true sports sickos comes out. I like Stu Skinner, second in the Calder voting last year. You know, he only lost to Ben Years, which means he was one person away from, winning the Calder Trophy. But then, he was also an All-Star. He's also young. If Arvid Soderblom had a tough stretch, would I be out on him? Or if Drew Comesso had a tough, would I be out? No, they're young. Campbell, that's a problem. Veteran, signed to a big contract, put on waivers, cleared, going to Bakersfield. Coming up is Cal Pickard, who, to his credit, has been good in the NHL in the past. Obviously, he signed to play in the AHL, and he's dominated. Save percentage in the 950s, I think, with Bakersfield. So now he's going to come in. Hopefully, he can provide some stability in that, allow Stu Skinner to figure out his game a little bit. Goaltending has obviously been a serious problem, but I have a different problem. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl have not taken over games the way that we've seen them do so in the past. And a lot of teams get a lot of flack when their stars are carrying them. Oh, the Devils without Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier, there's going to be a problem. No shit. What team could you take the best two players off and expect them to still be elite? If you took McKinnon and Makar off of Colorado, you picking them to win the cup?
No.
If you took Taves and Kane, or Kane and Keith, any two off the teams in the 2010s, do you think they win a single cup?
No, probably
I
not.
think they win 0. Kopitar and Doughty, or Kopitar and Carter, whichever two of the three. Kings don't win a single cup. Crosby and Malkin. I hate to tell you, your stars do have to be stars. There's a reason they're stars. There's a reason they're significantly higher paid than everybody else on the team. So, like, saying they're a one-man band, that's not really how it works. Like, they run the power play. They make everybody else around them better. That's why they're stars. That's why they're there. If your stars produce a lot of points and your depth players chip in here and there, but just basically prevent the other team from scoring, you're going to be a really, really good team. That's how hockey works. McDavid and Draisaitl, they haven't looked like the stars that Edmonton needs them to be over the course of this season so far. We've seen those two buffoons take over games before. They look like 2 of the 10 greatest players who ever lived a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could make an argument that McDavid, if he were to retire today, is a top 10 player who ever lived. And Draisaitl's probably hovering in like the low 20s right now of all-time greatest players. Like, he's that good. As of right now, McDavid's not breaking 1,000 points this season. He needed 150
Yeah,
to get there. I don't think that's happening this year, Frank. I wanted to see him do it in like April, because I think reaching 1,000 points at 27 years old, it's going to be a big deal when he does it next year too. Don't get me wrong. He'll still be 27. Like,
you have to have no bad stretches to get 150 points.
I know. You're right. You're right. You basically need to have like 5 points a week, which he did last year. We know he can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just the start, even if he like picks up where he left off starting now, he might be like 120, 130. Like, it's really hard to get up to that kind of number in today's NHL. Like, honestly, Jack Hughes and Elias Pettersson have a better chance, and Hughes is out right now, so not really him even anymore. I don't think anybody's hitting 150 this year. I think Matthews might score 70 goals. But I don't think McDavid is going to do that this year, although it would have been really cool. But yeah, they need more from those two too. And
100%.
I hate piling it all on them, but like,
it's true.
Did you watch their last game by chance against the Canucks? I watched the whole game from beginning to end. The Canucks played with their food, man. Quinn Hughes is dancing around the zone. Elias Peterson's hanging out, doing whatever he wants down low. Besser has scored 6 goals against the Oilers this season.
They've
He has
played
10
3
total.
times already.
Yeah, but he has 10 total goals. 6
Oh,
of
I
them have
know.
come
It's
against the Oilers.
crazy.
And, these guys, JT Miller, walking through the neutral zone, doing whatever he wants. They're also annoying the shit out of them. McDavid and Draisaitl pushing and shoving and all this stuff. That's not how the Oilers are supposed to play. That's just not what you come to expect from them. Those guys need to be out there skating and passing and shooting, not fighting the depth players. And Vancouver, you could tell they're having a jolly old time. They like mucking it up. It's Vancouver.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Their stars aren't the ones doing it. You're not seeing McDavid fight Quinn Hughes.
That would be insane.
That would be insane. I mean, JT Miller mucks it up. He's the type of guy, though.
Oh, yeah.
He'll get 90 points and have 100 penalty minutes. He's that type of guy, and nobody's going to poo-poo on him for that. But, I mean, man, what a shit show in Edmonton right now. I'm going to ask you the big question to cap off the first period conversation of the Battle of Alberta.
It's a big question.
Can either team bounce back and make the playoffs?
Here's my opinion. I do think both teams can bounce back. Not saying that they will, but I do believe that both teams can bounce back. Now, winning a division may be out of the cards for the Oilers, especially because the Knights have been playing elite hockey. It's unbelievable how well the Knights are playing. So I think us saying they'll win the division, I think that is out of the cards. I really believe they're way too buried. The Knights aren't going to fall off a cliff that much. However, there needs to be change. If no change takes place, then nothing in the standings is going to change. And I'm not saying trade McDavid and Draisaitl, and no, a change could be something as simple as changing up the line pairs, firing the head coach, making a statement in the locker room. Let's get a video of Woodcross reaming McDavid or another player standing up and showing captainship leadership abilities in the locker room. Just some change needs to happen, and the littlest thing could spark that. Because especially for the Oilers, you can't let a season go by with nothing for McDavid and Draisaitl. You're essentially burning a year on their contract to play the middle ground. I mean, these guys are supposed to be Stanley Cup contenders, and if you don't do anything to change that, I mean, you're burning a prime year of their contract to be a champion. So I think out of the two, it's more likely that the Oilers would bounce back because, I mean, there's a whole bunch of problems in Calgary that I went over. They need to get their shit together off the ice as well. But I do think if the necessary steps are taken, that yes, they both can.
Wow. That is not the answer I was expecting from you at all. When I wrote this down, I thought you were going to cook them both. I think they're both cooked.
Wow.
Both. I would be stunned if either of them make the playoffs.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why. I look over in the Eastern Conference. Okay, first of all, in the West, Calgary is 7th in the wild card race. Mm-hmm. Obviously, in the wild card race, 1 and 2 get in, and the rest don't. Mm-hmm. The division, I think, is going to be exactly what it is right now. Vegas, Vancouver, LA. We'll touch on Vancouver in a little bit. They're the surprise team in a good way in the NHL so far this year. They're on a roll. I don't think it's coming down. They have everything they need to be a playoff team. Do I think they're going to win the cup? No. Do I think they have a really nice core being built that they could be cup champions within the next 5 years? Yes. They're on a roll. It's not stopping. They're this year's Devils. I think the faster we accept that, the faster we'll enjoy watching the Canucks this season too. But so on the Kings, they're a wagon. They're 7-2-2. Vegas is Vegas. It's the greatest start to a season a Stanley Cup champion has ever had. I mean, they're a wagon. They're probably 1 on my power rankings right now. They finally lost, which we'll touch on the team that beat them in the second period as well. But Edmonton is 9th in the wild card race, and Calgary's 7th. But Calgary trails by 4 points. And Edmonton trails by, really bad at math, 8 points. It is hard to make up 8 points. And they're the better of the two teams, in my opinion. I think Calgary's cooked because of their roster combined with the bad start.
Yep.
Edmonton has we think an okay roster, but they're even deeper than the Flames. They have freaking 4 less points than the Flames. And I look at the teams that are ahead of them in the Pacific Division, and you already know how I feel about the top 3. I would lock in those top 3 with all my money right now as the final top 3. But when you look at the wild card, Right now, it's taken up by 2 Pacific teams. And I told you the Pacific was going to be improved this season. It is so far. Anaheim, they're damn good. We'll touch on them in the second in a little more in depth. Arizona's a wagon, too. I'm not even saying Arizona's going to make the playoffs, but they're 6-5-1. Their stars are playing. Clayton Keller's a dog. Logan Cooley's a dog. I mean, these guys are unreal. And they like playing. They're having fun. I could see them. They kind of remind me of the Devils in 2018 when they were just kind of like scrappy good. The Wild are right below the playoff line by 1. The Blues are right there too. So are the Kraken. Then you start to get into the Predators. You get the Flames, Blackhawks, Oilers, Sharks. I can't. I just don't see a path because the only team that's in a division spot that I could see falling back is Winnipeg. And every year, Winnipeg shoves it up both of our hoops. Every year. I think this is the year where Winnipeg starts to stink. Hellebuck signs long-term and Scheifele, identical contracts. They might be bad contracts in 5 years, but that means they're with the team right now.
Mm-hmm.
I was in an Apple store when those 2 deals were signed. I was looking at apples in an Apple store in Wisconsin.
Apple store.
No, not the Apple store, an Apple store. Like fruit apples.
Yeah.
It was Halloween season, that type of fall-y deal. But Winnipeg, they're good. They're a good team. We were wrong. I honestly think we were wrong. So they're not coming out of the Central. Maybe they jump into a wild card and the Wild start to play better. I think, the Wild haven't gotten off to the start they've wanted. They played some really good teams. They lost to the Devils back-to-back games. But, for the most part, I think they're a pretty good team. I would take them to beat Edmonton or Calgary right now in a playoff race. I would. St. Louis, they're they played the Devils well. It was the game that Jack Hughes got hurt. I always go back to the Devils, but these teams have played them, and I watched them recently as a result. So that's what I'm going off of. But, you pick Seattle to make playoffs. I had them just missing, but right there in the mix. They're already ahead. I would be a hypocrite if I came on this show and said that I think Edmonton or Calgary have like a good chance to come back after what I said about the Hawks when they started 0-9-1. And they fired Jeremy Colleton and they brought in Derek King. And you were like, Derek King, the Blackhawks. And I was like, Frank, they're toast. It's freaking December. Like, you're like, no, I don't think so. They could go on a run. No, they're toast. Like, I'm sorry. I hate to be that guy. They are toast. You start with that much of a hole, you're toast. You can miss the playoffs in October. You can't make them. And I know this cliche is used all the time, but it's true. It's just true. And so, yeah, I think they're cooked. I hate to say it because I love the Battle of Alberta. I'll watch every Battle of Alberta game. It honestly might be equally as fun if they both stink. Because, it'll be competitive hockey and they'll play each other hard and there'll be fights and goals and everything else that you like. But the Battle of Alberta is the Battle of El Stinky.
Yeah, and you remember I said I think this might be the first year in like 11 years that 5 teams come out of the Pacific. Very well could be.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, the 2 worst teams in the Pacific, or 2 of the Sharks, they stink. They don't count.
They're cooked.
They're cooked. But the Flames and the Oilers, we had them closer to the top and they're closer to the bottom.
Crazy.
It might be the Pacific, dude, the best division. Because the Devils and Hurricanes have both got good records, but both would say they wish they playing better. Then you look at the Atlantic is right there too. Because Detroit and Florida are both really on the come up. Unless the Islanders sneak into a wild card spot, I really don't see the Metro having 2 wild card teams or even 1. So, I don't know, man. It's tough.
I thought the Pacific's would be the worst division this year, but I also picked them to have 5 playoff teams because I thought the general consensus would be the last 2 Pacific teams that got into the playoffs would be not as good on paper as some of the teams that missed in the Central Division.
Understood. That makes sense.
That's going to be the case. I mean, it's like very contradicting, like to have me call it the worst division and then have 5 teams come out of it. But my reasoning behind it made sense in my head, at least.
I understand.
Like the Wild aren't in, but I think they could be better than the 8th team if that was a Pacific team that
The
got it. You know what I
Coyotes.
mean? Yeah, like I think overall they're better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. The Yotes, they look good. I think the Central's the worst
Could be. Could be.
because, but I think like the bottom teams are more fun in the Central than in the bottom of the Pacific. Edmonton and Calgary, when they stink, it's like when they're good, they're the most fun to watch. But when they stink, it's like that means McDavid's not doing anything and Huberto's not doing anything. Bedard could have 3 goals and they'll lose 4-3. That's fun. I love that. You know, I don't know if they're going to get Macklin Celebrini, but if they got Cole Iserman or one of the Finns or something like that, like, you know, this could be a really another successful year for the Blackhawks if they play things right. I don't know. The West is a little less cramped than the East, though, because if the Pens go on a 2-game winning streak, they're in a playoff spot. Really, the only team that's like they would need like a 3 or 4-game winning streak to be in a playoff spot is Ottawa.
Mhm.
But I think Philly's on the down. I think Washington's on the down. And I think Montreal's on the down.
The Penguins stink,
Yeah, they stink. 2-0 shutout win yesterday, though.
and they're still last.
Yep, they are still last, but they're only 3 points out of a playoff spot. It's
It
weird.
could change quick.
It could change quick in the East.
Couple games, 2-3 games, and now they're in a playoff spot. So
Yep, I think the West is starting to shape out the way the West is going to look, though.
you think so?
Yeah, I do.
I'm not counting the Wild out though,
No, me either. I'm not saying it's going to be a perfect 8-for-8 on what it is right now.
and I'm not counting the Kraken out either. They had a bad start, very bad start, but I think the Ducks are going to fall off. I really do. Yeah,
I
So-
think they fall off being a playoff team. I
they'll
don't
be
think.
they'll be decent, but they're not going to be a playoff team.
Yeah,
I
we're
don't
not.
think so.
I don't think so either. But we're not going to be talking about Macklin Celebrini for them. I don't think. 85, 90 points.
90 points.
I could see them being a 90
God.
point playoff misser.
That's a lot.
You
That's
miss-
like they might get in the playoffs.
You miss playoffs with 90 points.
Depends how bad the year is, but
Yeah, I would say you miss playoffs with 90 points this year.
you think they're going to have like 40 something wins, like 40, 50 something wins?
Not
45,
50.
like 41 wins?
No, 38, 39.
Well, that would only be 78 points. They're not going to have 12 OTLs.
I mean, well, you know, it's funny. Teams do.
'Cause
by
they
the
have
end of
none
the
right
year.
now.
They have none right now, which is funny.
That's
but
what
like,
I'm saying. It's
but
like,
teams do get in 9, 10, 11 OTLs by the end of the year. Like, you know, what were the records last year? I don't think you could pull up last year's record.
I got it. I got it.
You know, like there had to be multiple double-digit OTL teams.
There were. We had a couple 13s, couple 11s. Absolutely.
What's the lowest you can pick out? I'm actually curious. There's no zero burger in there. I guarantee that.
3.
3. Okay.
The Jets.
Oh, wow. So the Jets, when they get to overtime, they either win or lose, or they don't go to overtime, or they either win or don't go to overtime.
The Sharks had 16. No, yeah, and that wasn't even the most. The Flames had 17. Maybe that was a sign. They stunk last year. They couldn't win in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, if they win half of those, they're in the playoffs.
And that's the only reason why they were kind of up there, because they got 17 points for losing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was the sign we didn't really take into account.
Yeah, I wish the NHL did 3-2-1 like the Olympics. 3-2-1, it'd be a little more fair, I think, because teams like Calgary would be way out of it if it was 3-2-1. You'd still have a chance. It would help to lose in overtime rather than regulation. But I also think winning in overtime isn't as good as winning in regulation. So,
Right.
you get one less point for that. I think it would entice teams to not play to avoid giving up the lead at that point. So, we'll see, Frank. It's fun talking about the Battle of Alberta, but it's about time we move on to the rest of the NHL in period number 2. Welcome to period 2. Frank, on Sunday, I went to the game between the Chicago Blackhawks and the New Jersey Devils.
Sure, that
The
was a blast.
Devils, it was a blast. The Devils took a game by a final score of 4-2. The Hawks, they were in it. They skated. No Jack Hughes, no Nico Hischier. You know, that's obviously tough. I do think it was the type of game where if Jack Hughes was playing, he would have danced around everyone and had a jolly old time. But I mean, the Devils, they got a good gritty road win without their two best players, and since then they've played against the Avalanche and lost. Anyone with a brain would have thought that without Hughes and Heischer, with Hughes and Heischer, it would have been a close game. It was a close game without them. The Devils can compete with teams like Colorado,
Yeah.
but without their two best players, it's hard to compete with the Sharks. Honestly, they
Yeah.
could beat the Sharks, but it's really hard always. And so I don't know. Where do you stand on the Devils? Where they are right now? That win over the Blackhawks, and then we'll get into the Blackhawks on their own a little bit.
Yeah, well, the Devils, they played a very good game without their top two guys. They were quick. They didn't really slow down offensively too much. Tyler Toffoli, he's been sensational this year. I know against the Avalanche yesterday, he had another big game. Toffoli's been electric. I mean, he's a machine. Probably one of their biggest acquisitions, if not the biggest, the Devils have made it since they've started being good. To be honest with you, he's been electric. What I love about the Devils though is they, no matter what's thrown their way, like with Heischer and Hughes being out, they never slowed down. They never took their foot off the gas. Their gameplay stayed the same, and we saw that against the Blackhawks, and we saw that against the Avalanche. It worked out against the Blackhawks, but obviously it's going to be hard to beat a team on the road like the Avalanche without those top two guys. But against the Hawks, Devils looked fantastic. Yeah, I don't want to touch on the Hawks yet, so I'll let you. You were at the game. You probably had a way better perspective than I did because sometimes you see things when you're at the game that you don't always see on TV. Players look a lot different, so I'd love to hear what you had to say about your experience being there.
Yeah, so the Devils, they're fast. They're damn fast. When they have the puck, they're a million miles per hour. It's even more evident. It's evident on TV. It's evident like crack, um, in person. So when you go to a game and you check out a team like the Devils, it's like, wow, they really are damn fast. And they didn't even have their two best players. The power play's still been clicking somehow for the Devils, even without Hughes, but it looks sloppier. Yesterday against Colorado, they scored 2 power play goals, but they had a 7-minute long power play.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think any team would score at least one on a 7-minute long power play. It's a
It's almost
freaking
half the
NHL.
period.
It literally. Because douchebag Ross Colton on the Avalanche decided to deck Luke Hughes and board him from 5 feet away from the boards. And then when that was done, he goes over to Timo Meier and cross-checks him in the mouth. So he got a 2-minute minor for cross-checking and a 5-minute major penalty and a 10-minute game misconduct. If you had Ross Colton in fantasy, you won your fantasy week in penalty minutes.
You got 17 right there.
You won that category right there with that play. But I mean, the Devils, they got on the power play. They scored, but it was sloppy. It was like off the rush, or like they got a good pass. Meyer scored when it was 5-on-3 or 4-on-3. Because I think they were at 4-on-4 or something when the play first happened. It was weird. It was a weird game. But Meyer scored early. So that doesn't even count as truly setting up the power play like a normal. They won the faceoff, got it to Meyer, and he sniped it. They didn't really set up. It's just so obvious without Hughes. Jesper Bratt is very good at entering the zone, and you could see this in person when you're watching. Jesper Bratt is very good at entering the zone on the power play. He gains the zone as good as any forward or D in the NHL. But once they have the zone, they're missing that guy who could just dance around. And Heischer and Hughes could both do it. Hughes does it way better. Taylor Hall can do it. Even today, Taylor Hall can do it. Mm-hmm. It's a skill that not every elite forward has. Like Timo Meier, Jesper Bratt, they get tons of goals and tons of points. Neither of them are circling around the half wall and doing what those other guys can do. Connor Bedard can do it, I've noticed. So what it is it's the play where the defenseman, he'll have the puck at the top, and then the winger or centerman will come around the circle and he'll catch the pass from the defenseman, the power play quarterback, in stride, and he skates it up the left side. He's looking, and he's got the net right in front of him. He can either shoot it or pass it off to somebody who's ready to snipe on the other side. Without Hughes, that's very difficult to execute that type of power play. Like the Capitals and the Lightning, those two teams don't really do that. The Capitals keep Ovechkin over here, and they just feed him one tease all day. And the Lightning, they have Stamkos and Kucherov, one on each side, and you feed them, hoping to shoot it from that side. The Rangers do the same thing with Zibanejad. But the way the Devils do it, they misuse. It was clearly so painfully obvious that all their goals were like gritty and grimy, and it was the same way against Colorado. But that was my perspective on them. And then at the game, it was my second time seeing Bedard play a game, and this dude. I mean, he creates time and space for himself like no 18-year-old I've ever seen. I don't think.
Mhm.
And he didn't score. He's got 5 goals on the year, which has him right there with all the top players in the league. I think Austin Matthews has 13. I wholeheartedly think he gets 60 minimum. He probably pushes for 70 if he stays healthy. People who think that's crazy, go look at how many goals McDavid scored last year. At a slightly higher pace, he gets 70. And Matthews is at that slightly higher pace. He's got 3 hat tricks.
It's crazy.
Not even halfway through November. We're halfway to the halfway point of November.
It's the first week. Well, starting the second week, but yeah.
I mean, Matthews can easily have 3 more hat tricks by Christmas. And that's 9 goals right there,
Mm-hmm.
in 3 games. So the other games where he scores 1 or 2, we're talking 30 goals by Christmas. So we'll see what happens there. But I really like Bedard's game, man. He's a superstar. That place goes crazy for him too, and he eats up every second of it. He just went on Pete Blackburn's new podcast. I think it was their second episode.
I know what you're gonna say.
And talked about Vancouver.
Yeah, and how he cried.
The freaking Vancouver went through the Hawks to get to that Stanley Cup final, which is very funny. Alexander Burrows in overtime of Game 7 when the Hawks tied it late. And then they lost to the Bruins, and Pete Blackburn is a Bruins fan. So it was just if you haven't seen that, go watch that podcast. It's very, very funny. But I love Bedard. He's an absolute dog.
Yeah, what I was going to say about the Hawks is Bedard's been sensational. He's on pace for 37 goals, which is above the total that was set preseason. And he's also the first teenager to have 5 goals through the first 10 games for the Blackhawks since Jonathan Toews did it. Bedard and Toews, they're the two only teenagers to ever do that for the Blackhawks, which is something I thought was cool because everybody watching, they love Toews, and then now it's like, okay, but Bedard's here now, and he's replicating what some of the great Blackhawks have done in the past. And they played a great game against the Devils. Like you said, the Devils played great. The Blackhawks played great. I mean, the Hawks could have played better defensively. They gave up way too many shots on goal, but that's all part of the growing pains. And the game was close. The Devils got a last-second empty net goal with 0.4 seconds left. And maybe it's different because I wasn't at the game, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, but from what I saw on TV, they were competitive, and that's exactly what they have been this year so far. They've been exciting to watch. They've been competitive, minus obviously the Colorado Avalanche game and the Coyotes game. But besides that, really every game they've kind of been competitive, nasty, gritty, fun to watch, and it's honestly, from even their losses, what I'm seeing, it's been a breath of fresh air. So I've enjoyed what I'm seeing. I think the Hawks are in great hands for their future. I really do.
I agree. I mean, they're fun to watch now. Connor Bedard's insane, and they have a top 5 farm system, even if you disinclude Bedard. Korchinski's the real deal. He makes passes like nobody's business. I love what I'm seeing from Wyatt Kaiser. He's been unreal. We'll see what happens with some of their goaltending prospects as the years come along here. But I mean, and they're going to get another really good player in next year's draft. And we're going to touch on college hockey in a little bit here, but damn, Oliver Moore, Frank Nazar,
God.
These outstanding young players who are probably going to play for the Hawks maybe as soon as next year, at minimum 2 years from now.
2 years for sure, guaranteed.
Yeah, because like next year they could play in the AHL. They could go back to school. There's a lot of opportunities for those guys to better their life and career. Away from the NHL. We'll see. But I mean, if they're ready for the big show, I mean, I don't really see the point in not bringing them up if they're gonna,
100%.
try. And next year, what you're seeing from the Ducks and what you're seeing from the Yotes right now, that could be the Blackhawks next year or the year after. I think it really could. Skokes makes a great point. Vlasic, arguably the best young D on the roster right now.
He's been sensational.
Yeah, well, Vlasic also has a lot more experience than Korchinski and Wyatt Kaiser. He's one of those guys, like, now you see it takes a minute for these D to develop. And I do think the Hawks, they're going to go through a similar trajectory as the Devils, because the Devils are still very young. I'm pretty sure they even have an overall younger roster than the Blackhawks, which is crazy. I think the Hawks will get younger as the team gets better because they won't be signing Felinos and they won't be signing Perrys and those guys drastically up the average age just by being there by themselves. And Taylor Hall, obviously, that ups the age on the team. They have Andreas Athanasiou, Seth Jones, guys like that. Um, you know, but the Devils, they're like kind of developing while trying to win. Kevin Ball and Luke Hughes are like first and second year defensemen,
Hmm.
and they're playing large minutes every single night. I have a feeling that's going to happen to the Blackhawks. When they're a 90 to 100 point team, I think there'll still be some development going on at the NHL level too. And, early in seasons, I wouldn't shock me if the Hawks have a year where they have high expectations coming in and they're 7-4-1, but haven't played amazing in all their games.
Hmm.
And the talent is helping them win games, but there's still development going on. That happens sometimes. And it happened with Colorado,
It did.
when Bo
They
and
were so
Byram, and
bad.
they were so bad, but also like there was a couple years there where they were really good, but you saw their flaws because the players were still getting better.
Hmm.
And, that type of stuff happens. It's going to happen. I do think the future is very bright. Um, Bedard's the real deal, and I love everything they're surrounding him with so
Oh
far.
yeah, it's fantastic. The future is so bright. It's like I said, it's really been a breath of fresh air to watch their games.
It sure has. And nobody knows. That's another thing. You don't know what free agents are going to become available when it's time to win, too. What if they take a serious run at Leon Draisaitl when the time is right? What if they make a huge trade? What if someone wants out of somewhere and what if a Jack Eichel situation pops up?
Well, that's what I said the other day. I said, when the Hawks are ready to win and they're good, players are going to want to come here and play
Yeah.
with Bedard. Like they're going to make some moves. I would have to say.
Yeah. 100%.
Like yeah,
And so you don't know who's a huge player who could be a free agent like within the next 3 years.
Matthews in 4.
Matthews, and I think it's 5 technically.
How is it?
Yeah, I don't know if Matthews. That I used to think Matthews to
Well,
Chicago.
in 5 they should be good.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he will want to end his career in Chicago, and it would be like, do you want to give a 28-year-old a 6-year deal or a 7-year deal? That'll be the debate. But like, at least for a couple years, it would be smart. What if somebody like Owen Power or Rasmus Dahlin is a 27, 28-year-old free agent at that point in time,
Hmm.
and like the Hawks go for them? Like, all these types of things are very, very possible, and I don't know, man. I just
I'm
I
excited.
see a world where the Hawks are very, very good in 3 to 4 years, but you probably have 1 or 2 more nasty years ahead of you.
Here's my prediction. I said this the other day, um, and you weren't around to hear it. I have the Hawks obviously kind of stinking next year, which is what, the 2024-2025 season. I think there'll be a bubble playoff team in 2025-2026, and I think they could be a really like nuisance to potentially win a cup in 2026-2027.
Very fair. I
That's
think
my
that's
projection.
absolutely fair. And you know what? That kind of fits Kyle Davidson's like 5-year plan.
Mhm.
We're in year 2 of it right now, and they're already kind of, I don't want to say they're ahead of schedule because their record is what it is, but they didn't plan when Kyle Davidson said that. They didn't know they'd be getting the generational talent from British Columbia.
Like next year, they'll still be probably. I mean, maybe they'll be like Anaheim this year. Probably miss the playoffs because I don't think I don't know if Anaheim's gonna project as good as they've been. We have opposite opinions on that, but like
Not
if
really.
if they pan out the way I think they will, I think the Hawks could maybe be like that next year. And then really the year after, it's like, all right, guys, we're gonna try and get into the playoffs and make a run. Well, we'll see. I mean, it could surprise us too, right? Like you never know what happens. Maybe they stink for 3 years, or maybe they're better next year. I don't know. I mean, it all depends. I mean, there's a lot of time between now and the offseason and the draft, and who's ready to come over. Is Oliver Moore, Frank Nazar? I keep forgetting the other guy that we drafted too. It was,
Ethan Del Mastro.
no, it was the last. It was the 20-something pick when we drafted Nazar Korchinski.
It's not Del Mastro.
No,
I'm drawing a blank then too. But I mean, do you think there's going to be a year where they start off well?
I'm gonna look it up.
They start off well and they play well through like January and then start to fall off in the end. I could see that
Oh,
happening next
uh-huh.
year or the year after. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I think is going to happen with Anaheim this year. They're going to play well. It'll come to February, the dog days of the season. They'll lose a couple and then, kind of ride off into the sunset. Be a 80 to 90 point team, depending on
Ah, I
how
got it.
good they start. Who is it?
Sam Renzel.
That's right. I forgot about Sam
He
Renzel.
was like the 25th pick or something that year. It went Korchinski, Nazar, Renzel. I always forget about him, but I mean, hopefully he's. Oh, Tom said it right here. It's Sam Renzel. I always forget about him, but I mean, he could be a great defenseman too. I haven't heard
Yeah,
a lot about him lately, but
he could. And you know what? When you have 3 first round picks, there's a chance that Kyle Davidson saw that as an opportunity to like swing for the fences on a draft pick.
mhm,
Maybe not projected to go exactly where he went, but like
right,
he sees something, but you have 2 other first round picks to kind of, hang your head on.
100%.
The Devils did that when they had 3 picks. They took Alexander Holtz, Dawson Mercer, and Shakir Mahamadulin. Well, they traded Mahamadulin to the Sharks in the Timo Meyer trade. Do I think all of these young defensemen are going to play for the Hawks one day? No, that's just not possible because Seth Jones is going to be there. You know, they already let guys like Ian Mitchell go.
Yep.
So, and he had an assist with the Bruins the other night. It's a good player. He was really good when he was in college. So, I don't know, man. There's a lot of good coming up. I would love to see them add like a blue chip defenseman prospect too. I know Vlasic is really really good, but I think
What do you
his
mean by blue chip?
like
Like blue collar almost?
top tier prospect,
Oh,
like it's very hard to find. These guys don't grow on trees, otherwise everyone would have one. But like if they drafted Bowen Byram in 2019, like I wanted them to, watched him play yesterday. He's real good. He's real good. He's real good, and being on Colorado hasn't even allowed him to like reach his full potential because
maybe the Hawks will grab him.
he's not their number 1 or number 2 D. Um, if he was with Chicago, he'd like have a much more elevated role. Kevin Korchinski, he's an A tier defenseman prospect. It'd be cool if they were able to find themselves an S tier defenseman prospect to build the blue line around.
Maybe this year.
But you know what? If Korchinski's their number 1 D on a championship team, I don't think that's 100% out of the realm of possibility. I
It
really
wouldn't
don't.
surprise me if they were able to win with him as the 1D.
It wouldn't, but I think like a good ceiling would have him as like a number 2, and like you go get that Norris guy, right? Like you find a way. Like, do you see Kevin Korchinski ever winning the Norris Trophy? I don't know if that is the type of ceiling that he has.
Mhm.
Like, I don't even know if that's the type of ceiling Luke Hughes has. And like Luke Hughes is ranked higher on a lot of people's lists than
Yeah.
a Korchinski. Like even a David Jiricek, the kid in Columbus, outstanding, a true number 1 D. Is he going to be a Norris? Like Quinn Hughes might not even win the Norris. This year he's probably the early favorite, especially since he started scoring some goals. That's the big key. But hey, the Hawks are going to be fun. I'm very much looking forward to the future that they have. There was a question that I was going to ask you. What were we talking about right before that?
Before the Hawks? We
No,
let off the period.
we were talking about like blue chip prospects and whatnot. It's not that big of a
You
deal.
said that the Blackhawks need to go out and get that number 1 elite defenseman. I asked you what blue chip was.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't know.
know. If I think of it, I'll say it. But Frank, the Vancouver Canucks, speaking of Quinn Hughes, are an absolute wagon. Talk to me about what you've seen from that team.
Very, very impressed with the Vancouver Canucks this season. They're 9-2-1 to open up the season. Lost a close game to the Rangers, who are sizzling right now. They beat the Oilers 3 times, which doesn't say much as of right now, but they've also shut out the Dallas Stars. And Thatcher Demko in that game against the Dallas Stars played out of his mind. He had an incredible save. I don't know if it's going to be a save of the year candidate, but it was remarkable. And they scored 10 goals against the Sharks, which, no mistake, scoring 10 goals against any NHL team is hard to do no matter what team you are. So that says a lot as well. They also are getting so much production from everybody on the team, which is what you love to see. They have 5 players on their team who are point per game or better this season. Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, JT Miller, Brock Besser, and Philip Hronek. I mean, who would have thought Hronek would have 13 points on D? His career high is 39. I mean, he's on pace to shatter that right now. I mean, he's playing out of his mind. And Brock Besser is also playing a huge role. And like I said a few weeks ago, I do think Brock Besser will have the best year yet in his career as a Canuck, and that is all the way that things are pointing right now. You start to ask the question, VP, is this the Canucks team we are seeing right now eerily similar to the one that went to the Stanley Cup in 2011?
Well, they broke that team's record for the most points through X amount of games. I forget the exact number. I don't see a world where they fall off, like in terms of the regular season.
Eerily similar.
Yeah. And, who's their first round opponent going to be? It'll probably be either one of.
Could be like the Kraken.
It could be the Kraken. It could be. I don't think they're going to win the division. I think Vegas is going to keep it rolling. So it'll be the Kings, probably, would be my ultimate guess. But it could be the Kraken. It could be I guess. If they prove me wrong.
They could beat the Kings.
It's really 100%. Coming down. Yeah, I think they could beat the Kings. Like if the Ducks stay hot and got in as the 3 spot,
that's what
it's like a team that I would predict the Canucks to beat. The only one that would, I think Kings Canucks would be a pick 'em.
I think if they played Vegas, I think they're cooked probably. But it would be entertaining.
Oh yeah, it would be entertaining. The
Canucks would be cooked. I think.
Yeah, me too. The Kings are 7-2-2, so they deserve respect too. They've been great.
100%.
They've been great.
I think the Canucks have been better though.
Me too. And I would pick the Canucks in a 7-game series, but probably in 7 games. Yeah, I like what I'm seeing from them. They have the high quality centerman, the 2-way centerman. And Elias Peterson. They have a centerman / winger that does it all, JT Miller. Brock Besser is bringing his A game. They have the number 1 D, Quinn Hughes, and they have a goalie. Thatcher Demko's been great. So I mean, they have kind of like the recipe of a successful core. So I think the Vancouver Canucks are the real deal. I think they stay good. I think they make the playoffs. I'm not going to brag about all my playoff picks because I have a couple that are not looking so good right now, but I did say Vancouver. And I was a little scared to say it because I was thinking about it all summer long, because I just look at the teams and I'm like, I like Vancouver's roster better, and people are going to disagree with me. I know I look at hockey in a little bit of a different way sometimes, but
that was big brain thinking, VP.
It was.
I give you credit.
Thank you. And my only reason for it was because I think about all the winners I've seen, and they all have the goalie, the number 1 center, and the number 1 D, and then you build around that. And when I'm talking a number 1 D, I'm talking about a number 1 D. The Devils kind of have that with Dougie Hamilton. The Florida Panthers had that with what's his face last year. I'm drawing a blank on the defenseman's name now. There's Ekblad too, but there was another one who scored a crap ton of goals. Yeah. It wasn't Uyghur. Uyghur was traded to.
I got to be honest, I'm bad when it comes to that.
Well, back in the day with the Kings, it was Kopitar, Doughty, Quick. It's just always one of those things. It always seems to line up. Now, the teams that win the cup usually have that second center.
Right.
Which is why I think the Canucks, we'll see with that. But I mean, they're damn good. Love watching them play. Best jersey catalog in the NHL too. Not best number 1 jersey. I kind of think all the original 6 home jerseys are better.
Their jerseys are okay.
I love the alternates. The black one and then the one with the stick.
Yeah,
I want all of them. Last year's reverse retro is my favorite jersey I've ever seen. I still never bought one.
What was that one you really liked? Was it college that you had as your screensaver?
No, that was the Canucks.
Oh, it was the Canucks.
The reverse retro from last year.
Yeah.
I want that jersey so bad. I will get my hands on one day. I want it so bad.
That one is a very nice jersey.
If anyone's watching and wants to get me a birthday present,
it's a very nice.
I want one so bad. Oh my God. I will have one day. But yeah, the Vancouver Canucks. All right, Frank, another team from the Pacific Division. They haven't played quite as well as Vancouver, but they played much better than a lot of people anticipated coming into the season. The Anaheim Ducks, led by Mason McTavish. He's just been absolutely unreal so far this season. Zegras hasn't even played all that well, and the Canucks or the Ducks have played super duper well. Now, do I think Zegras' lack of production It always happens to these kids that think they can hold out and get millions and millions of dollars and all that kind of stuff. It never really works out to hold out. You got to play and go to training camp, and he just didn't start the season in midseason form, which is the point of training camp and preseason, so that you're in midseason form by the time the real games start. And that's not the case for Zegras. I do think, it'll all come back to him, and he'll be fine. I'm not worried about Zegras in any way, shape, or form. That didn't even cross my mind, but I do think, if he really starts to like pick it up, and they have McTavish and Drysdale and Troy Terry's unreal. This new kid that they have, not even going to try and butcher his name. I don't know how to say it properly yet. He was their first round pick in 2020. Now I'm drawing a blank on what year it was. He was the 10th overall pick. It's a Russian kid. I forget his name. He real good, real good.
I know who you're talking about.
And Gibson's been playing well. Right? Like the Ducks haven't played well in front of him for a long time, so it made people kind of forget how good he was when the team in front of him wasn't trash. I like the Ducks so far. They're in a playoff spot as we speak.
Yeah,
After they hold on to it though.
They're playing some great hockey as of right now. They were the first team to beat the Vegas Golden Knights in regulation this season. Then last night had a little bit of a letdown, couldn't score and got shut out by the Penguins, who were last in their division. But I think this is what you're going to get this year with the Ducks as a whole. I mean, last year they went 24 games under 500, and they were minus 129 with their goal differential. They're giving up a ton of goals. We're not seeing that this year. Troy Terry's been electric. I'm convinced that like Zegras is just at home playing NHL, and that there's a doppelganger on the ice each night. He's nowhere to be found. But the bright spot on this team has been the first line of the Ducks, consisting of Ryan Strome, Frank Vetrano, and Mason McTavish. This first line, VP, has combined for 17 goals and 36 points so far, just on the first line. I mean, 17 goals and 36 points. There's some first lines out there that are better than the Ducks that don't even have that. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, the numbers right now support this team of having the potential of being dangerous. But I think things are going to die down quite a bit. I think the three of them together on the first line are shooting at over 20%. That's going to naturally come down over time over the course of an 82-game season. Things are going to change, I think, in the near future for them. Rookie goaltender Lucas Dostal, he's been great. 920 save percentage, 280 goals against. I mean, the future is definitely looking bright for this Anaheim Ducks team. But whenever we talk about the Anaheim Ducks, I lean to Trevor Zegras, and I think, is this team better without him than they are with him? It's a good topic, and I think there's a lot of debate there. I think a lot of teams kind of see the potential in him, and I don't know if the Ducks really need him going forward in their future. I really don't.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And
Did you get a first or second out of him?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. They had another high draft pick last year. We didn't even mention Leo Carlson.
Exactly.
He's been unreal. And, started off the year a little hurt, and I think getting in there and playing well now, he'll be in the mix for the Calder Trophy by the end of the season. I'm not necessarily sure he's like a favorite or anything like that. But, I mean, he's a guy who is absolutely deserving of, some recognition here, I think. And they've just played well.
Yeah.
And, I like what they do. Last night was tough against the Penguins. I think the Ducks might be better than the Penguins, but maybe not. They're probably roughly around the same. But I mean, for being a young team and having little to no pressure, they look like they're out there having fun. I don't think it's sustainable to be a playoff team or anything like that. They're still young, they're still inexperienced, but they're going to be fun all year long.
I agree, 100%. Nasty. They're going to be that pesky nastiness.
Sure are. Now, Frank, I wanted to kind of move on and talk about some college hockey a little bit.
Okay.
And, we're going to start featuring college hockey on the show again a lot like we did last year now that we're starting to really get into the season here. What do you got going on in terms of your college hockey update?
Well, Boston College still at the top of the polls. I think it might be destined that they win it all this year. I mean, they have a ton of talent on their team currently, and this always seems to be the case every year. And I don't know if you heard the news about Boston College, but they landed the top NHL prospect for the 2025 NHL entry draft. His name is James Higgins, and he'll definitely be, if he's not number one, he's definitely in the running to go number one overall. But him and his brother committed to Boston College for next season, which I thought was pretty cool.
That is very, very cool. I have the standings right here on my phone, ready to rock. At least a couple of the standings. I have to go back in to find the standings. I was looking at the leading scorers. Um, you know who leads college hockey in goals right now?
It's not Celebrini.
He's second with 8, and he's tied with Cutter
Tell me
Gauthier.
it's Will Smith.
No,
I don't
it's
know.
not Will Smith. He's tied. Celebrini's tied with a couple guys. One of them's Cutter Gauthier, who is
I like him.
a Flyers draft pick,
I like him.
going to be a real good player. Um, Gavin Brindley, the
Wow, really?
guy I wanted the Hawks to draft so bad.
What are his
I'm not.
stats?
I'm not taking away anything from you know Oliver Moore or anything like that. He's a freshman. Gavin Brindley's a sophomore. He's more advanced. And I think he's in a really good situation being drafted by Columbus, who had Fantilli, his former line mate at Michigan now. Brindley has 9 goals, and he has 15 points. So what is
So
that?
6
6
assists.
assists? I
Wow,
mean, 9 goals and 6 assists for
that's great.
15 points. He is tied for third in points. Um, he's really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he'd be a first rounder. He ended up being the third pick of the second round. But like honestly, or was it the second pick of the second round? He's in a good situation.
Yeah, he went in
Um,
the second, I think.
Columbus is going to be really, really good in short order. I think Gavin Brindley is going to be a big part of it. Another player I wanted to touch on, my favorite player in college hockey right now, is Seamus Casey, only because he's a Devils draft pick. He has
Mhm.
11 assists, second in all of college hockey with 11 assists.
It's a lot of assists. A lot of
Um,
apples.
it is, and he's just a defenseman. He took over Luke Hughes' spot on the power play and all that stuff. Obviously, his points were going to increase this year. His role was going to be like pretty increased as the year goes along without Luke Hughes being there, and like Owen Power. It was the same thing with Owen Power left. Like Luke Hughes' role increased,
Mhm.
and it's kind of happening again. I got to get over there and see Michigan at some point this year, but man. Gavin Brindley and Seamus Casey. I'm sure Seamus Casey has probably assisted on a couple of these Brindley goals. Another player, Gabe Peralt, he is tied for 4th in assists with Boston College. That
Wow.
wagon you're
Boston
talking
College,
about.
man. Oh my god.
Yeah, and Cutter Gauthier, he goes there. Flyers draft pick. Gabe Peralt, he was a guy I was looking at for the Hawks too, and every year
And Will Smith is there, right?
Will Smith is there
Yeah.
too. Freshman, things are a little different for
Yeah.
freshmen. It seems like, because I still think there's a chance Will Smith is like a true NHL star
So
for
do
the
I.
San Jose Sharks. But when I think of Gabe Peralta, I'm like every year one of my draft crushes ends up with the Rangers. I always have like 5 or 6 draft crushes every year, and by draft crush, I don't include guys like Jack Hughes or Connor Bedard. The guys who are like for sure going to go number 1.
Mhm.
I would consider Nico Hischier a draft crush because like it wasn't a lock. He goes 1.
Mhm.
It could have been Nolan Patrick. It could have been Miro Heiskanen. It could have been Cale Makar. Devils went with Hischier. They needed center. They were never taking a defenseman. Um, Freaking Keandre Miller was one of my biggest draft crushes. He was at Wisconsin. I was like, this guy's going to be a stud. Rangers come up, freaking take him. And now he's like their second best defenseman or third best defenseman. Absolutely an unreal player. Bowen Byram was one of my draft crushes. He probably would have went to the Rangers if they didn't win the lottery and take the
They
freaking
know. They know
capo
you're
capo.
watching.
They know I'm watching, and I see the Rangers a fair amount. So
Yep.
like all these guys end up haunting me in my dreams, the ones I like. But you know, I do. I appreciate players more than teams these days. Outside of the Devils, I'm enjoying players more than teams a lot. Do you remember what my favorite team crush was last year? What team did I love watching that wasn't the Devils? I watched almost every game they played.
Hold on, VP. I remember you
I mean,
saying
I still like watching them now, but
Oh, the Islanders?
no, it was the Oilers.
The Oilers.
Same
Yeah.
colors. Right now, it's Vancouver. I think I've watched every game Vancouver has played
They're
for the last
fun.
2 weeks.
They're fun.
And so, I like watching people that I like. My favorite laundry is the Devils. Outside of like right now, the Hawks are one of my favorite teams because I love Bedard. I love Korchinski. All these guys
Mhm.
I followed when they were in junior, right? I'm a huge Hawks fan again, but the Devils, it's you put on that uniform, I love you. Other teams,
Right.
it's like I love the team because of certain players and whatnot. I don't think Seamus Casey ends up playing for the Devils though. I could see them trading him. I thought he was going to go in the Timo Meyer trade, but if they ever trade for a pretty good goalie, I could see Seamus Casey going the other way. But we'll see. Maybe they do end up keeping him and he plays for the Devils. But I'm really excited about college hockey. I know we get extra excited for it once we get into
Like the
the
Frozen Four and all that.
the tournament of
The
16.
tournament.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking ahead to the games this week. Um, Michigan plays Minnesota. And I think
Whew!
that is just a freaking awesome, awesome,
Like
awesome
a train crash.
matchup. Yes,
Woo!
it is. Yes, it is. I'm looking for Hockey East. Um, oh yeah, Boston College is playing Maine. Hell yeah, Boston University is playing
They're gonna beat
Massachusetts
Maine.
Lowell. I think so. Maine always puts up fights though. It's weird.
Boston College are unreal.
Oh yeah, and then in the NCHC, North Dakota and Minnesota Duluth.
Oof.
Chef's kiss.
That's a good matchup too.
Hell yeah. And Quinnipiac is playing Brown. They'll probably kill him. The
Quinnipiac,
defending
great team.
chances.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, love college hockey. If you're not watching college hockey, you need to start. A lot of games on ESPN Plus. A lot of games on ESPN Plus. Big Ten Network. Okay, you could be watching these games all over the place. They're as easy accessible as ever. We talked about the Friendship Four on the show, right?
I think so.
The games being taken place in Ireland next year.
Uh-huh.
Can't
I
wait
think
for that.
last week we talked about it. I
Yep,
think.
I made it my cover photo on Twitter yesterday. I had to. I'm obsessed with that picture that I made my cover photo on Twitter. So love college hockey. Can't wait to keep getting into it and learning more about it as time goes on. I wouldn't even say I'm like a college hockey expert yet. I'm pretty close to an NHL expert, I would say. You can ask me just about any storyline in the NHL and I can offer an opinion on it. College hockey, I'm still learning. I want to get to that level.
There's a lot going on in terms of college hockey.
There is, and I don't have all the conferences down pat yet. There are teams that are in the Big Ten in real life, but they're in a different conference, or not in real life. College hockey's real life. In football,
Right. It's
they're in
different.
this conference. Teams that are in the MAC playing against NIU in football every week are in other conferences
Mhm.
in college hockey.
It's
In
different.
in football, Notre Dame is independent. In basketball, they're in the ACC. In baseball, they're in the ACC. And in hockey, they're in the Big Ten. Figure it out, Notre Dame. Like, what are you doing?
Mhm.
And the ACC doesn't exist in hockey. Like, they had to pick a conference. There's no non-con
Right.
in hockey either. Really, they wanted to make money off of their program, so they joined the Big Ten, which is obviously flooded with money. But Hockey East is probably my favorite to watch. The champion of Hockey East every year wins the Lou Lamoriello Trophy. And obviously, Lou Lamoriello is, you know, he's the godfather of the New Jersey Devils and will be forever, I would say. So, big person in my life, I would say, watching hockey all these years. Now he's the Islanders GM, but, you know, he's all I knew as the GM growing up
Right.
for the Devils. I think he left the Devils 2015. I think something like that.
Sounds about right.
And then he went to the Leafs for a couple years with Brendan Shanahan,
Yeah.
also a former Devil.
That
Yeah.
sounds about right.
So Frank, what's your favorite hockey story of the week?
I came across a story that gave me the chills when I was reading it. And I said, there's no better place to share it than on the Barroom Network on the Bardown Talking Hockey podcast. So, my favorite hockey story of the week has to do with some organization honoring Adam Johnson. And for those who don't know, Adam Johnson passed tragically last week during an English hockey game. And you might not have known that he was also a former NHL player, played for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Then he was playing in England for the Nottingham Panthers. For both teams, he won number 47. Well, during the Nottingham Forest Football Club game versus Aston Villa in a Premier League match, they stopped the match at the 47th minute and held up a Johnson banner with his number in the crowd. Players in the crowd and on the field gave Johnson a standing ovation, and even the PA announcer made some comments about how much Adam Johnson has impacted the city of Nottingham. And it's great to see stuff like this and honorings like this happening, even where hockey might not be as large as it is here, Adam Johnson, he made a huge impact for all those fans in Nottingham. So it's great that they honored him and acknowledged that at a soccer game. For both teams to stop playing on the field to honor him, it was one of the coolest honorings I think I've ever seen in sports.
I really like that story, Frank. And it's funny, mine has something to do with Adam Johnson as well. But first, your story is really good. Obviously, that's a touching, powerful moment. And I love seeing humans honor and respect fellow humans. There's a lot of hate, there's a lot of mean people out there. The world is filled with a-holes. All I got to do is go on Twitter and look at the mentions on some of the tweets that I write, just talking about a sports team that I like. And, people telling me to shut the fuck up and all that. Like, dude, no. Like, you don't got to be mean
Calm
all the
down.
time.
Yeah,
So
right.
when I see, you don't have to agree with me. That's fine. I don't care. I don't agree with you, but I'm not telling you I hate your mom, right? Like, it it's very easy to be kind, and it's free even.
It is
And
free.
very few things in life are free, but being kind is one of them. And so I like seeing, acts like that when there's tragedy that strikes. Um, my favorite story is we're starting to see some repercussion from the injury that took place to Adam Johnson. And it sucks whenever there's tragedy that strikes or whatever, that it seems like it takes that in order to see change.
Mm-hmm.
Like, new laws are implemented when somebody dies in a car accident because of whatever reason at this corner. They'll put a stop sign there going for it, like, and it'll prevent accident, but someone had to die to get that stop sign put in place. I mean, it sucks that that's the way our world is. Um, but I mean, it's nice to see the WHL implementing starting. I can't remember if it was starting this week or if it was starting at the beginning of next year. One of them was this week.
I think
One of them
next
was the
year.
beginning of next year.
Yeah.
The WHL. That's the league Bedard and Korchinski and all them played in last year. Nico Heischer comes from the Nico Heischer comes from the QMJHL, which they haven't adopted anything yet. We'll see if the CHL as a whole implements something. And then, you started to see all the teams that play in the English league that Adam Johnson was playing in. A couple college hockey teams have started to implement it. We've seen a few NHL players do it. TJ Oshie, Eric Carlson, guys like that have all kind of come in and started using these neck things to protect their necks from getting sliced by skates. It's a big deal. I would do it if I were playing pro hockey, because the game is so fast. I've seen clips on Twitter now of like close calls
Mm-hmm.
that teams in the NHL have had, and it's like you're a little shocked when you see these, that what happened to Adam Johnson doesn't happen more often.
Mm-hmm.
And so raise awareness, protect yourself, do what you got to do. For kids especially, in the NHL and the AHL, if a grown man doesn't want to do it, like, he knows what he's signing himself up for. I highly recommend it. I loved seeing, and people are saying, oh, TJ Oshie, he's just trying to promote his business. TJ Oshie has like a hockey equipment business. Well, okay, but like, his business, even if Oshie benefits from it, his business still has something that can help you.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors became doctors because they want to be rich, but they also can help you. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
do you hate doctors because they're paid well? That argument just makes no sense to me. Doctors still
Yeah.
want to help you, but if you told them they were no longer getting a paycheck, they wouldn't answer your phone calls anymore. So, like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. You got to protect yourself. And, I loved hearing that a bunch of guys, Skokes point out that Kaiser started wearing one. So good for him. We'll see what happens with this story going forward, but some touching moments. Oh, and another honorable mention. I can't follow up either of our two original favorite hockey stories of the week properly, because nothing will compare with stories like that. But we touched on it already. The San Jose Sharks, they finally won a game. It came over the Philadelphia Flyers. And, Frank, we have a buddy.
Oh,
His,
I know.
his name's Dylan. He's a big Flyers fan.
I told him they were cooked, and he
And
was so mad.
and he put money on the Penguins being the team to lose to the Sharks over the weekend. And the Penguins scored 10. And then his team, 48 hours later, loses to that Sharks team that gave up 10 and cost him money. The Flyers, they got off to a moderately good start, and this guy's talking junk, because we laughed at him. We were like, "Oh, the Flyers, they're probably I think they're worse than the Blue Jackets," and I thought that coming into the season. And the Blue Jackets had a little bit of bump in the road early. The Flyers start off hot. He's going off. You thought they'd be better than the Blue Jackets? Like, what are you, crazy? And lo and behold, now they have the same number of points. The Flyers are who we thought they were. Man, do they stink too.
They're not great.
They really stink too. And, the one weekend I was hanging out with him, and at that point in time, the Devils and Flyers had the same record. Oh, boy. Opposite directions have the teams
He was
gone.
so mad. Oh, my God.
Oh, that's great. And I know he doesn't listen to our podcast, so I don't even feel bad.
Might be listening right now.
Stun me and tell me you're listening if you are.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, that would be funny. But man, the Flyers stink, and that's one of my favorite stories too. Although, I did tell Dylan this, and it wasn't a lie. They've been one of my favorite teams to watch so far this season. I love Bobby Orr Brink.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cutter Gauthier is going to be a stud. I love Farabee. I love watching Konechny play. Kind of reminds me of like a Diet Marchand.
Yeah.
I think I've said that before on the show. Carter Hart's a really good goalie. I would try to trade him if I was Philly, all real talk. But man, is it funny to see them, wait a month before you start talking your junk about your favorite team that's supposed to stink because of the hot start they got. It's one thing if a team like Vegas or the Devils or whoever's supposed to be good, if they get off to a good start and you talk your junk. But if you're like the Flyers, who are expected to be in the Macklin Celebrini sweepstakes, and you're talking your junk after October, oh my God, dude, we got 70 games left to go. I don't know what the hell you think this is.
DP's just loving this.
Oh my God, is that funny? And I feel the same way. People overreacting because the Devils, they're using teenage defensemen, and there have been some bumps in the road. Dude, we got 70 more of these things. You think I'm gonna sit here and get upset because they lost to Colorado without Hischier and Hughes? You got another thing coming, pal. If I'll cry when they inevitably either win the cup or lose in the playoffs. That's the time to get worried about things. But right now, man, oh my God, we got way too long to go before I start doing anything other than laughing at people. All right, Frank, we had a lot of hockey talk over the first hour and a half of the show. I think now's the time we finally move on and have a little chit chat about the National Football League in period number 3. One, two, three. Football! Love football. Absolutely love football.
How can you not?
I honestly think that makes you a weirdo. Like, because like hockey's every day, baseball's every day. You kind of, in order to like take the game in full, you can't really let your eyes leave the screen for a lot of the time.
Right.
And football, it's like the ultimate American sport. You can half watch, you can eat your chips in between plays. You could go take a dump if you need to. Like, football is just like, you can take a little bit of a power nap. I don't do those things. I analyze, I watch, I'm locked in.
VP's dialed in.
But like the average person, they can watch and enjoy football with little to no effort. Like, I just don't get why you wouldn't watch it and participate. I mean, this stuff is awesome. Now, the local team, the Chicago Bears, boy, do they stink.
Oof.
I tell you what, I still think they're the worst team in the NFL. I know they have 2 wins. They beat a disgruntled, about to fire their coach. Josh McDaniels is an absolute joke of a coach. Raiders team with their 3rd-string quarterback in that hasn't won in 2 years. That is not a quality win for the Chicago Bears. And then their other win over the Commanders, they almost beat the Commanders last year, too. I don't know what it is about Thursday Night Football against the Commanders that the Bears just find ways to play well. Sometimes they win, sometimes they don't. It just does. But I'm not letting those 2 wins deteriorate the fact that I truly think they are the worst team in the NFL. The Panthers are right there. Okay, I do. And so are the Cardinals. But the Cardinals play hard. The Cardinals play very hard, and they're going to get Kyler back this weekend. Hopefully that helps them win a game or 2 down the stretch, so they're not in the top overall pick sweepstakes anymore. I'd love to see Kyler Murray just come in and light the world on fire. All of a sudden, the Patriots are in the mix for this number one pick with the Bears. I hope they win a game or two down the stretch so they can kind of avoid being in that mix. But man, so I think the Saints stink. I think whoever wins the NFC South stinks, but they'll have like an 8-9 or 9-8 record. The Saints are 5-4. So like the Bears couldn't even play with the Saints food. And the Saints, they're not elite, so they weren't able to pull away in the end. But I still think they overall dominated the game. It never really felt like the Bears had a chance to win.
No.
But because the Saints aren't elite, they weren't able to pull away. If the Chiefs or the Jaguars or the Bengals or the Bills or the Eagles, if those two teams played the exact same game against the Bears, they would have won by 30.
Yep.
But the Saints aren't on that level. So the Bears are so far away from even being a team like the Saints, middle of the pack, 20th best team in the league maybe. And the Saints are so far away from being a contender, a legit contender.
Right.
So that just goes to show how far the Bears are away from being a legit contender. I thought the game stunk. The Bears stink. I really don't know what else at this point with them. What were you going to say?
Bears, they played the Saints tough at times. Saints aren't a great team. In fact, they kind of stink in my opinion too. Bagent played terrible. He looked good at times, but to throw 3 interceptions, that is ultimately what cost you the game.
Remember that guy in the chat trying to tell me he had a strong arm and he was going to end up being the guy?
I mean, what I've seen from this Bears team with Bagent is that he can make a throw if he has to downfield. He's not always consistent with it, but he's capable of making a throw downfield. And Matt Eberflus, he's got to go. This man has no balls to do anything. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember that Bagent play where he dove for the first down.
And
And originally it was like 4th and inches or whatever. It was 4th and it was like 4th and inches. And you're tied at 17 in the 4th quarter, and you're in you're in the Saints territory, and you send out the field goal unit on 4th and inches when the game means jack shit in opponent territory in the 4th quarter, and you send out the field goal unit, and then they review it and they made it a first down. You have no. Why don't you? In what world would you kick the field goal? Come on, this team stinks.
I think any team in the league can execute the tush push to get a credit card worth of inches.
I know. And he goes, I'm going to send out the field goal unit. Yeah, because if you win this game, it's going to make a difference. No, it's going to hurt you in the long run.
Yeah. Freaking Matt Eberflus stinks. He's the worst coach in the NFL, I think. Now that McDaniels has been fired, I think I still would probably take McDaniels over Eberflus.
He stinks.
Honestly, yeah, it's bad. I didn't like the hire the day they made it. So, I don't feel bad about it. It's not a good decision by the Bears that they made. But he's the guy for the rest of the season. The Chicago Bears have never fired a coach mid-season. It ain't happening this year. I actually wouldn't right now. I don't think.
No, I mean,
I think
don't have to.
I'd rather lose, except tomorrow.
They better win tomorrow.
I hope they win tomorrow. I think every Bears fan does. Skoke says worst coach in franchise history official.
He might be VP. This guy's got no balls.
Mark Trestman was bad.
I think I'd take him over Eberflus.
Mark Trestman was really bad. The only thing people are going to come at me with, he had the 1 year with Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey and Martellus Bennett and Jay and Matt Forte, and it was a formidable offense. But the defense was so bad during those years. Like, I think the defense was worse then than it is now, but the offense was better, and he didn't only have 5 wins in 2 years. Trestman. So maybe Trestman era was better than that's kind of the first time I've done some deep thinking on it and actually talked it out. It's between him and Trestman for me. John Fox was terrible, but I liked the hire when they made it because it was John Fox. Okay, Skoke says worst coach by team record. I'm curious if Skokes would take Trestman or Eberflus to coach the team next year.
I think I'd take Trestman. Truly.
Interesting. Very interesting. He stunk.
Eberflus, he doesn't take chances.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. And the way he talks to the media is dumb. At least Trestman tried. Eberflus just seems like he thinks everyone he's talking to is an idiot. And I hate when people talk like that. Don't talk to me like I'm an idiot as a media person. Talk to me like I know what I'm talking about, because I do know what I'm talking about in this instance. We're not talking about advanced science or medicine. We're talking about football. I understand football. Talk to me like I understand football, Matt Eberflus. But yeah, they suck. Um, I have yet to see a Bears fan root for them to lose tomorrow, though, because I know most games it's pretty divided.
They
There,
gotta lose.
there's the
They gotta win. I mean,
there's the people who say I will never root for the Chicago Bears to lose. I never will. And there are people like me that say I hope they lose every damn game and get the best draft pick possible, because that's how you get better in the end anyway. I have no problem. I won't actively cheer against them. I'm not standing up and clapping when the New Orleans Saints score a touchdown on them. But in my head, I'm like, okay, the ball's rolling. Got to have another high pick. Um, but tomorrow, nobody's having that discussion. Everyone
no, no,
wants them to beat the Panthers, because the
absolutely.
Panthers have the highest chance of getting the number one pick. I do see the argument that if the Panthers win, that'll mean they both have 2 losses, and that'll increase both picks' chances of being number one. But I would rather have number 1 and number 4 than number 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I really, really would. So, because you're probably not getting Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 4, but do you want to draft a rookie star wide receiver when you're drafting a rookie quarterback anyway? I don't know if you do.
You never know.
I also don't even know. I'm not in love with any of the quarterbacks in this draft. I know people love Caleb Williams. I told you my take on Caleb Williams at the party on Saturday. He's good. He might be good in the NFL, but he's not a generational prospect. I do not see him in the same light. And Patrick Mahomes wasn't a generational prospect. Tom Brady wasn't a generational prospect. They became Hall of Fame quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm not saying that can't happen for Caleb Williams. What I am saying is I don't see them in the same vein as Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck. I don't even see him in the same vein as Trevor Lawrence, who has lived up to all the expectations in the NFL. The Jaguars are 11-2 in their last 13 games.
Mhm.
He has lived up to it. I don't see that from Caleb Williams in college. And that's what being a good scout is saying, despite what you see in college, this translates to the NFL. That's what they're saying about Caleb Williams. I would
Right.
draft him, but I don't know, man. This Bears team, they suck.
They suck. It's just irritating each week. I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow, though.
Me too. I'll be at a restaurant watching it too, which is always super fun. The AFC North, Frank.
Yep.
It's the best division in the
That's
NFL.
that's what I was gonna say, right? It has to be.
I think it is. It might be the best division I've ever seen.
Like
I
if you took each one of them and evaluated them, it's clearly the best division.
Yeah, I'm not old, so I haven't been watching football for 50 years like some of our counterparts here on the network. Our colleagues like Mike North and Aldo Gandia, and even some of the guys who are younger than them but older than us, they've seen it more too. But I can't recall ever seeing a division like the AFC North. I think all 4 teams can make the playoffs. And I told you during the preseason that the
You did.
Browns are good, and I told you the Steelers are good, but I'm not putting either of them in the playoffs because I really didn't think it was possible for 3 teams in the same division to make the playoffs, let alone 4
Is it
competing
possible to
for
have
it.
4? Or is that impossible?
I think there's 7 teams that make the playoffs, so it would be they have every wild card team.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
With having to play each person in your division twice?
I think it is possible if you dominate your non-division schedule,
You'd have
which
to
they kind of all are right now. I
and
don't
you'd have
have
to
the NFL.
split the in-series schedule too.
Yeah, none of the teams are getting the number 1 seed, I don't think, in that instance.
Did you know they're the only division in the NFL where every team is above 500?
Yeah, that doesn't shock me. Okay, Frank, if the season ended today, all 4 teams would be in the playoffs.
I know, but at the end of the season, is it possible?
I
Because
don't know because they play each other and whatnot.
yeah, right.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. But the Bengals are the best of them, in my opinion, and they're in last place because of tiebreakers. And the
Yeah.
Browns, they let one bad loss really get away.
Oh yeah.
They should be second, really. But they have that win over the Steelers. The Steelers beat them. That's why they have
Did the
the tiebreaker.
Steelers beat the Bengals?
The Steelers, I don't remember. Here, I'll tell you in a second.
I
They
think
might have.
did.
They beat the Browns, I remember.
Didn't they? Wait, they beat the Ravens too, didn't they?
The Steelers did beat the Ravens. They're
Yeah.
one of their 2 losses. The Steelers have yet to play the Bengals.
Oh,
They play them twice still to go
they
here.
got big wins in their division.
They do, dude. Every team in this division is
Well,
awesome.
and it's Mike Tomlin. Like he's never under 500.
No, never under 500. And
So
they're all 5-3 except the Ravens. And the Ravens, they might be the best team out of them all. I think the record obviously shows that. But Lamar MVP, great coaching. I think if the season ends today, Lamar probably does win the MVP.
yeah, he could.
They have the best record in the AFC. They have quality wins. They still play the Jaguars. If they beat them,
And the Ravens are the only team in the division who have yet to hit their bye week. So it'll be interesting to see what the other teams do when the Ravens enter their bye week.
absolutely. And I'm looking at the standings right now, and it looks like if the season ended today, they would be the 3 wildcard teams. What might keep one of these teams out is the Bills.
Oh
The
yeah.
Bills are 5-4. The other 3 teams in this division are 5-3. So
Bills can make it still.
if the Bills, yes, they can, and so can the Jets, so can the Chargers, and so can the Texans. But I don't think the Texans are great. C.J. Stroud will be the offensive rookie of the year,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't see them hanging on to a playoff spot. I
No.
don't see the Chargers hanging on to one either, although I like how they've played lately.
They played great lately.
Aaron Rodgers is coming back.
Just get out of here.
No, he is.
He's not coming back.
If they're within a game or 2 of a playoff spot on December 12th,
Which they won't.
last 2 nights ago's loss was tough. I'm not going to argue that, but they've hung in there. They have hung in there for not having Aaron Rodgers, and he would be a significant upgrade over Zach Wilson. But man, I'm rooting for the AFC North. I love all 4 of those teams. You know how I feel about Ohio, and
Yep.
I've always loved the Steelers. Pittsburgh is one of my favorite cities I've ever been to.
Big Steelers guy here too.
Yeah, I
Obviously.
know. I don't love them as much as you, but I love them. I want to go to a game in Pittsburgh. We should all go to a game in Pittsburgh.
That'd be so much fun.
I think it'd be poetic. I think we have
Oh
to
my
do it
God.
together. We have to do it together. After our Steelers love riding fest that we've had on this show for the last handful of years. Now, the difference, I'm honest about the Steelers because I'm not as attached to them as I am. I guess I'm honest about every team. The only team I feel like I've been homered against always is whatever team Tom played for. But I feel like I was always realistic with the other teams in the NFL that I like, and the Steelers are one of them. Their offense has not been great. Matt Canada, they chant fire Canada at Penguins games. I don't know, but I really love the AFC North. It's the
great.
most fun division.
100%.
And those Cleveland Browns, I tried to.
They got a great defense too.
They still might not even make it. I didn't pick them to make it.
I don't think they will.
I'm not going to cry if they don't.
Their defense is outstanding.
No, the fact that the Bengals are technically in last place, though, like the Bengals and the Bears, both in last place.
Bengals are going to pass the Browns.
I think they go to the Super Bowl.
It's very possible. 100%. It's very possible.
They're my pick right now.
I'm not picking them to go to the Super Bowl, but they look very good.
Yeah, but you don't know how you feel about that in January.
Right now, I'm sticking with what I said. I can't back away. Bills, Eagles.
Bills, Eagles. Okay. I mean,
Eagles are like a lock to make the playoffs, but
yeah, right now I'm completely flipping on my preseason. I would go Bengals, which I had Bengals 49ers, so I'm half flipping. Which I'm flipping back because I wouldn't have said Bengals 3 weeks ago. Bengals, Lions.
It's possible.
The Lions, it's not even like, it's more of an indictment on the NFC.
Montgomery's coming back. He was injured. He's getting healthy. So
yep. Did you spend a little money to get him in Guillotine League?
I just a little bit, yeah. I spent a lot on AJ Brown.
Nice.
I did 378.
Well, you can look and see if you got him now.
My phone is not.
I'm interested to hear. Yeah, I got chopped for the first time in 2 years.
That's rough, VP.
It was tough. I mean, Gabe Davis on the Bills, 0 points.
That was rough. Osborne got hurt.
Yep.
You had Osborne. Now I have my phone.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear. I mean, I got chopped. I probably should have been chopped 5 separate times last year, and I ended up winning. So I wasn't like mad about it like I normally would be, but it is what it is. While Frankie looks up to see who he got added to his team, I'm very interested. I honestly think if you put
Oh,
that much on AJ Brown, I'd be stunned if
I
you didn't
I
get.
got Montgomery and Brown,
There you go. You're set.
and
You
I still have $200 fake left,
there you go.
which is not bad. I know
No,
they're on a bye this week, but my theory was I don't need him this week. I don't think.
no, there are a lot of good teams on buys this week. This is probably, I would say, there's probably a lot of teams having a hard week this week because of who's on a buy. I think the Eagles are on a bye. The Chiefs are on a bye. There are a lot of fantasy heavy teams on buys this week.
I
All
think
the AFC North.
I think I spent way too much on Brown.
Why? What was the second highest bid?
225. I spent over 150 more than what it was,
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes that happens. There
but
was,
I wanted to guarantee him
yeah,
because I think like I could win this all if I have him on my team. He's the second highest ranked wide receiver.
yeah. I added him around this time last year. I drafted him this year, but I added him around this time last year and ended up winning the whole thing.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
So, I mean, are you comfortable with your quarterback?
yeah, I got Josh Allen. He's the highest. He's number one in fantasy rankings.
Yeah, that
He
makes
gets
sense.
like 30 a week because he
Yeah,
doesn't run it a lot or hand it off a lot. Like if you got Singletary or the running back, he's getting nothing. He just
yeah,
throws it a lot. So he's the number one. I'm very comfortable right now. And then he goes on a bye week 13, and I have Trevor Lawrence as my backup, which will be a great 1 week backup to use, I think.
yeah.
So we'll see.
Absolutely. We will see. All right, Frank, the college football playoff. Talk to
All
me.
right. Well, I'll go over the rankings if people don't know or haven't heard about it. Ohio State's 1, Georgia's 2, Michigan 3, Florida State 4. No change from last week. Then you got Washington 5, Oregon 6, Texas 7, Alabama 8, Ole Miss 9, Penn State at 10. I'll end it there. No change in the top 4. And I think it's hilarious that the committee refuses to put Washington in the top 4. And I find it hilarious because I do really think Washington are frauds, and maybe the committee believes so as well. Like, why wouldn't they go in the top 4 this week? They had a win on the road against USC. I mean, come on now. It's another ranked opponent. Like, I think theoretically they might be better at Florida State, but why aren't they ahead of Florida State then? If they're so good as everybody thinks they have, they got a great defense. What's the quarterback? What's his name? Give me his name.
Michael Penix Jr.
He's great. If he's great, then why aren't we talking about him in the top 4? I just think they're frauds. Ohio State versus Michigan is huge in a few weeks. Florida State has a relatively easy schedule to finish out the year. No ranked matchups on their list the remaining of the year. Georgia has a couple of big games against number 9 Ole Miss and number 13 ranked, I believe, Tennessee coming up in the next couple of weeks. So that should be a lot of fun. This is some of my favorite time of the year, VP, in terms of college football.
Absolutely. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have the standings in front of me, but I think Georgia's probably got a date with Alabama in the SEC championship on the slate too, right?
Yep. Yep.
So that'll be
Woo!
really, really cool if they both make it to the SEC title game, right? Like
Does
that's
Bama get in if they beat Georgia?
yes. I think a one-loss Bama team that's an SEC champion gets in. Yes,
Very fair.
and I'm here for it. I'm
Very
absolutely.
fair.
A lot of people get mad, but like, who wouldn't want to watch Alabama in
Oh, yeah.
January and the Sugar Bowl or whatever they're calling it this year? I mean, yeah, I'm here for it. I think Alabama's the
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Nick Saban goes on McAfee every Wednesday or every Thursday and kind of gives a little spiel, and he gets me going every time. I love watching it. So, yeah, I think the college football playoff is not even close because obviously Michigan and Ohio State will play each other. Who knows if Michigan gets freaking banned from making
That's
the college
possible.
football playoff?
Sure.
It is possible. I also think Michigan is better than Ohio State. I don't understand Ohio State being one in any way, shape, or form.
I don't either.
It
They
makes
struggled
no
against
sense in my.
Rutgers.
They struggled against Rutgers. They
I
lost to Notre Dame, which at the time that was a big win, but Notre Dame has since kind of stunk. It's
dude, I
not
don't
the
even know.
quality win that it was when it first happened.
I thought
It's
it
just
was
not.
you were on glue when you told me they were one last week on Halloween. I go, come on, you're kidding. I
I
thought
didn't.
you were joking.
I didn't think they're one.
I
I
know
they
you told
were
me they're
one.
one. I know, and I thought you were kidding around because I couldn't believe it. They don't deserve to be one.
Yeah, no, they don't. But
Cody McCord or Kyle McCord, whatever his name is, he's just not good.
absolutely. I mean, it is what it is. They're one. People like them. Michigan's going to kill them. What would be hilarious if Michigan kills them and then gets booted from the college football playoff and the Big Ten misses out all around. That would
Oh
be
my
like
god,
true theater.
Dylan
But
would be so mad.
they'll push they'll push Michigan. They'll let Michigan play because it'll be a money making machine. Michigan is one of the blue bloods in college football, and then if they do ever get punishment, it'll be next year or the
Mm-hmm.
year after. Or they'll punish kids who are seniors in high school right now
Mm-hmm.
that aren't even fully committed to Michigan yet. Like it's annoying, but I mean, it is what it is. And then John Harbaugh is going to leave. Or I always get him confused. Is John or Jim at Michigan? John is at Michigan. Jim is the coach of the
Yeah,
Ravens.
yep. John's at Michigan.
Um, so we'll see. I'm very excited. I can't wait for the title game in the SEC,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. And then I think the title game in the Pac-12 is going to be magnificent this year. It'll be the last Pac-12 title game ever, at least with the way we know it now.
Right.
The Big Ten title game it'll be the winner of Michigan and Ohio State against whoever's the best team in the Big Ten West, which is usually a team that has like 4 losses. So they'll smoke them in that game. Like it'll be Wisconsin or Iowa or Northwestern, like one of those teams. I don't know exactly who it would be right now. I haven't looked, but hell yeah, I love the college football playoff. I love the ranking show every Tuesday, and here we are. All right, Frank, let's wrap up the third period for this edition. We haven't done it in a while of
Yep.
Frank's Video Game Corner. If you don't talk about GTA 6, you're getting punched in the face. Let's go.
Maybe I won't. I'm going to start out with Alan Wake 2, which has been the hot commodity lately. Our buddy Dylan's been playing it a lot. Everyone has been playing it. Sequel to Alan Wake, which came out in 2010. It's very rare to have video games have sequels this far down the line, but it obviously does happen. And honestly, this could prove to be one of the best games to come out this year. I mean, it obviously won't win like game of the year or anything, but it's been a lot of fun and people are enjoying it. So if you're looking for a new game, maybe you want to play that. My second news has to do with Call of Duty, VP. We're in Call of Duty season right now. Game comes out November 10th, this Friday. If you pre-ordered the game, you were able to play it, the campaign, about a week early or 8 days early. So hopefully that'll be loads of fun. There's bad news though for the campaign, which is something that I hyped up a little bit. A lot of people were hyping up. I mean, there were video packages hyping up the campaign. People are finding out when they play it, it's only about 3 hours in length, 3 to 4 hours long. So you could beat that in
What?
one session. You're playing it at night. You beat that. It's like the as long as Endgame. Like you're just gonna play through the campaign. Like, come on, you hype it up this much, and you put out a 3 to 4 hour campaign. I mean, Call of Duty games aren't 40-hour video games like some other games, but average, if you take a look at the past, it's like anywhere from like 8 to 10 hours. You put out a 3 to 4 hour game and you're hyping it up like this. I mean, it's sickening. Not a lot. It's taking a ton of backlash. I mean, hopefully the saving grace will be the multiplayer, which because there's a lot of old time MW2 gameplay that will be featured, and hopefully that'll boost the game a bit. But come on, you can't hype up the campaign that much and put out a 3 hour campaign. What's the point of playing it early, a week early, when you could beat it in one night? It's actually one of the poorest moves I've seen out of a Call of Duty video game. That just can't happen. Fortnite. I want to talk a little bit about Fortnite, which I haven't talked about in a while. You probably haven't heard a lot about Fortnite in the past few years, but they went back to OG Fortnite.
That I didn't know.
You did know that.
Yeah.
For a theme of their newest season, the game mechanics and everything went back to OG Fortnite for the first time since it was OG Fortnite, and it had its best day in history with over 44.7 million players when it launched and over 102 million hours played earlier in the week. I mean, if you want to play OG Fortnite again, you may want to download the game and start playing now because this isn't going to be permanent. And like when Fortnite first came out, it was like that juicy apple you love to eat every night or for a snack. You take it out of the fridge and you take a nice juicy bite out of it. That's what we're back to in Fortnite. From what I've seen, I watched a little gameplay on it. It's nice. It's refreshing, and I could see why so many people have been enjoying it. And finally, perhaps the biggest news, and I wrote this yesterday, is that Bloomberg reported that GTA 6 will be announced as early as this week, with the first trailer to release next month to celebrate Rockstar's 25th anniversary. They're saying that this trailer will most likely happen at the Game Awards on December 7th. That's fun. One of the biggest times of years for video game fans. And I wrote down, however, there's been no confirmation made. Well, today, Rockstar Games dropped the bombshell that indeed they didn't call it GTA 6, but they are announcing and we'll have our first look at the next Grand Theft Auto installment next month. Still no word on when that will be, but it'll obviously, if what we've been hearing is true, which it's on the path to be true, probably be on Rockstar's 25th anniversary or sometime around the Game Awards. So this is going to be one of the most anticipated games of all time. People are already freaking out over it. I honestly think when it's announced or like when it comes out, I think like Twitter's going to go down for a bit. I can't wait to learn more about what's to come. I mean, everybody thought like Elden Ring was big. I mean, this game, VP. Oh my God. Like people are going to go nuts. The amount of trends it had on Twitter, it was trending like it was unbelievable. I'm excited. I like GTA. It's one of the first video games I've ever played growing up. Like the GTA franchise, like San Andreas and Grand Theft Auto 3. Like that was like some of the first games I was ever introduced to. And that's why I've become such a big video game fan. When we had all the cheats written down in notebooks, you remember me and Joey, we had all the cheat codes written down for GTA in notebooks. Like GTA is some of the best times I've had playing video games in my childhood. And like, it's clear that Rockstar Games doesn't plan on stopping and they know how much hype this game has. It's going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait to see what's next.
Absolutely. That's one that I'm like really, really excited about. I will be participating in the GTA hype. By the time it comes out, I will be participating in buying a new console and having all that set up. I really
Yeah, because
want
it's
to
not
play.
going to come out like soon.
No, and I really want to play Spider-Man and I really want to play this new GTA, so I think it's about time that I hop on the wagon and get one of these brand new consoles. I haven't decided which one, but it's coming soon.
Skoke says we've been cruising Los Santos for 10 years. You're damn right we are.
Ain't that the
Time
truth?
for change.
I got that. I think I had GTA 5 on Xbox 360,
I do
not
too.
Xbox One.
I do too.
Yeah, I don't think I ever got it on one.
That's how long it's been.
Yeah,
We've gone through a console generation.
yeah, like through one entirely.
Yeah, now the Xbox One's like almost obsolete. Like,
Yeah,
and there was no GTAs. That's crazy. I'm looking heavily forward to this, and I cannot wait to see the reveal trailer.
me too. I think that's one where we're gonna need to get all the boys back together to play like
Oh my God, the
land
multiplayer
style
is
or somehow.
outstanding. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
it's gonna be great. I'm very much looking forward to it. You know, good for Rockstar. They've obviously gotten to a place where they can like kind of take over the world in terms of making good games and
They
stuff.
pump out
So
so many good games.
I know.
Red Dead Redemption 1
Yep.
and 2, Rockstar Games. I mean, the content that they bring to the video game community is unreal, and like what a company. What a company. And what a time to announce it near their 25th anniversary of being in a company. They,
Absolutely. And you do got the holidays coming around the corner. That's obviously
Mhm.
like a big deal. So we'll see what happens in that area. But Frank, that was a very good video game corner. I'm excited to hear more. I'll make sure to include that in the third period more often again because I want to hear about it and
Appreciate it,
learn.
VP.
Make sure you read all of Frank's stuff at apptrigger.com. This is also a means to promote what's going on with you in that. Really quick, before we get to breaking bets, tell people, explain a little bit about what's going on with App Trigger and what you got cooking over there.
Well, I mean, it's majority of the content lately has been Spider-Man, but Spider-Man, it's not an overly long game. I use Dylan a lot as reference to like equate my comments because he gets all those games and beats them. Like he platinumed the game already, and he got it the day it came out. So you're not gonna. It's not an overly long experience, but it's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend getting it if you have a PlayStation 5 because that's the only way you're gonna play it is if you have a PlayStation 5. So it's been a majority of that, and then lately Alan Wake 2, which it's a survival horror game. If you're into that type of stuff and you loved the first one 13 years ago when it came out on the Xbox 360, you're going to love this one because it's even better. So, right now, a majority of my time has been with that. I did do an NHL article um, about their newest set that was taking place in Hockey Ultimate Team. But for right now, it's been that. And then Friday, when Call of Duty comes out, it's going to switch to that. And then next month with the Game Awards and GTA, it's probably going to be mostly heavy focus towards those things.
There you go. Very much looking forward to all of it. Frank, this has been your time to talk on the show between talking about Frank's Video Game
No,
Corner,
it's
promoting
dry
App
over here.
Trigger. Yeah, how do you think I feel when I go on my rants? But
Woo!
you're not done yet. You're going to help make America some money in America's favorite podcast segment of the week, Breaking Bets.
Where's my money, bitch?
I got some breaking news about an NFL player that passed away.
Excuse me?
Yeah, he was only 42. He wasn't in the NFL. You might recognize the name. He won the Super Bowl with the Colts in 2007. Matt Ulrich passed away.
Damn.
Yep. I don't know what from, but yeah, he was retired, former Colt offensive guard, passed away at the age of 42.
Wow.
I know a lot of viewers who follow the Bears and had that Bears Colts rivalry back in the day. Maybe wanted to be enlightened by this news. It's not good news, but I think it's something we should have brought up. So Matt Aldridge passes away at the age of 42. I don't recognize him that much because I mean back then I wasn't. I mean I was younger. I wasn't big into football as much as I am now. But sad news. Sad news.
R.I.P. I remember that Super Bowl well. You said it was he won the Super Bowl with the Colts?
Do you know where he's from?
No.
Streamwood.
Wow. That's crazy.
Wow.
That's unbelievable. You said he won the Super Bowl with the Colts?
Yeah, 2007.
That means he beat the Bears.
Yeah.
So you probably did watch that Super Bowl.
But I don't. My
Yeah,
brain
yeah, no,
couldn't
yeah, for
remember.
sure.
Like he doesn't even look familiar to me. But yeah, passed away 42. It's always like sickening when you hear these young guys pass away so young. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. It is sickening. It's scary. It's very
But,
scary. Well, condolences to him and his family and everyone he loved and loved him. It's obviously tragic news.
So yeah, to maybe lighten the mood a little bit, help you guys win some money. We are on the tear of our lifetime, and I'm not just saying that. Like you got to be following my picks right now. Last week we went 4-1. We're above 50% again. Fantastic. VP, if you've taken all my picks since October 11th when I started doing the unit thing, and you've in each unit, like one unit's $10, you'd be up $129. If you've been doing that with $100 per unit, you're up $1,291 so far. We're on a roll. We're not in the negative. Keep following my picks. I give them away for free. All you have to do is tune into the show. I mean, it's been great. We went 4-1 last week. And like I said, if you're following the unit system, the ones you're losing aren't a big deal because you're mopping up with the bigger ones. This has been fantastic. And I got 3 more picks for you. Like I said last week was my last MLB pick of the year. So this week, we got 2 NFL. Wait, 3 NFL picks and 1 hockey pick. First up,
Right.
I'll start off with the NFL. I say this every week. I love to include the Thursday night football game. You watch the show, you listen to this. Thursday night football's tomorrow. It's fresh in your head, so I always like to do that. This game's going to be a tough one, and it's a tough one to bet on, honestly, since the Bears are at home. I'm going to go with the Bears to win. I don't trust them to take a -3.5, and I don't like taking big spread. I don't like taking big money lines lately because it just gets. But I can't trust the Panthers +3.5 on the road, and I can't trust the Bears. So I think I like the Bears just to win in this one, just to win 1 unit, bet to win 1 unit, nothing crazy. Like I said, I don't normally like to bet the heavy money lines, but I have no idea what's going to happen in this game, and I wanted to give a pick on Thursday Night Football. Panthers are a bad team, just like the Bears. I don't trust them on the road. I don't trust the Bears. So this is just one of those games that if you want to not bet it, I understand you stay away from, or you bet the money line light on the Bears just to win a unit. I also do like Santos over 1.5 field goals for the Bears. He has to make 2 field goals plus 110. Also put a unit on that. I could see the Bears ripping some field goals just because Matt Eberflus has no balls. And if it's 4th and inches, Buddy's sending out the field goal team. So I think 2 field goals is very realistic. Plus 110, 1 unit on that, 1 unit on the Bears money line to win. The other game I like, which I was stunned to see this, it was the 49ers at the Jaguars. Jaguars are getting 3.5 at home. I would take the Jaguars plus 3.5 and bet to win 2 units here. This is going to be a fantastic game on Sunday. It's hard to believe the 49ers have lost 3 in a row and maybe on the verge of losing 4 in a row, but the Jaguars are a top 5 team in the NFL, in my opinion. And I can't say the same about the 49ers. They were 7th on my ranking. So I love that we could get the Jaguars at home at plus 3.5. They're playing great football right now. They're on their home soil. 49ers are regressing big time. And if they win this game, if the 49ers win this game, congrats to them. You ended your streak against a good team, right? Bleeding's got to stop eventually. But how can you pass up on the Jaguars plus 3.5? It seems like a must bet. You're getting them like they could lose by a field goal and you're good. So I think they'll win outright, but for safety, Jaguars plus 3.5. I love that value. Love the spread. Love the bet. Bet to win 2 units on that at minus 130. And finally, brings me to my last pick. Got to include a hockey pick. Wednesday night hockey. I do it all the time. It's between the Vegas Golden Knights. They host the Los Angeles Kings. I like the Vegas Golden Knights money line to win 2 units at minus 142. If the Knights weren't playing at such an elite level right now, I'd probably have decided to not bet on this game and just watch it for pure fun. However, the Knights are coming off a shocking upset loss to the Anaheim Ducks. They're going to be hungry to get back into the win column. Kings are playing some phenomenal hockey right now as well, but I think the line is just perfect to take the Knights at home where they're still undefeated in regulation. At the level the Knights are playing at, they should be able to win this game no problem. I think they're undefeated at home in regulation. I could be wrong
I think they are.
because I think they lost to the Ducks on the road, right?
Yeah.
And the Hawks beat them in
It was in overtime.
in Vegas. So, yeah, they're undefeated in regulation at home. Seems like a must bet. Minus 142. Bet to win 2 units. Let's ride. Let's roll. We're hot, baby.
Let's roll. I'm all here for it, Frank. I mean, good picks. Really, really good. I love seeing that you're back above 500. About damn time, I will say that.
Whew.
Yeah, good stuff. Really, really good
Do
stuff.
we dip below 50% before the end of the year?
No,
I like
of course not. Good vibes only.
I like the confidence.
What the hell are you asking me that for?
Just to see what you'd say.
Exactly. So, yeah, absolutely good stuff. Got a couple hockey games tonight. It's a light night on the NHL schedule, but, no lack of entertainment for sure. Obviously, the Maple Leafs are playing the Senators. That's a fun one. And then, two Canadian teams playing each other is always fun for me, in my opinion. Then the Capitals are hosting the Panthers on TNT in the first half of a back-to-back on TNT. And then the Kings Golden Knights will wrap up the night. So obviously a big night in hockey. Thursday Night Football tomorrow, Chicago Bears versus Carolina Panthers. This network right here, the Barroom Network, obviously hugely dedicated to the Chicago Bears, and there will be plenty of great programming between Aldo Gandia and Mike North and Greg Gabriel. Fantasy Football Goon on Sunday morning before the other games start. Obviously, there's plenty of football content here on the Barroom Network. We're covering the NBA and the NHL as well. Crosstown Crosstalk is going to come back on November the 30th. As we get ready to take on the winter meetings at that point in time. All the news between now and then, we'll kind of save it in the back burner and bring it to light on that great comeback show on November 30th. Obviously the Cubs got rid of David Ross in favor of Craig Counsell. Just an absolutely
Crazy.
Genius move.
Beautiful.
Absolutely genius move. I'm happy to hear that you have a brain and like it. Because there are people that just like David Ross.
They're just idiots then.
Yeah, because Craig Counsell's a top 5 manager in baseball, maybe top 1.
David Ross, great guy. He's not a manager.
Yeah, and
Thank
what?
You for what you've done, and we'll move on.
Yeah, even if he is your placeholder manager, I don't think he was putrid. He was better than Pedro Grafal by a lot.
Yeah.
But Craig Counsell, he got a Brewers team that doesn't spend a lot of money. 5 division titles in 6 years and 1 trip to the NLCS. And basically since the Cubs fell off from winning the World Series, the part of that is because of how good the Brewers became. And it's all because of Craig Counsell. Now he's on your side. Now you're the favorite to land Shohei Ohtani. Now,
you think?
I think they're the betting favorite.
What?
I think.
Wow.
If they're not the betting favorite, they're top 3.
For sure, you think?
Yeah. I would
didn't
have
know that.
Yeah, no, I think the Cubs have a real chance. And the Yamamoto kid, the 25-year-old pitcher from Japan,
I like
I'm going to write about him coming to the MLB and possibly the Cubs. That'll probably come out on DeWindy City tomorrow.
Wow.
Dylan Cease is going to get traded, I think. Like, there's all sorts of great stuff in the MLB. So make sure you're back with us on the 30th as we come back from a little bit of a reset the batteries from the baseball season is kind of how I'm looking at it. Skoke says the Dodgers. He thinks they're the favorite. That's my prediction for who he signs with. But I read Nightingale's thing yesterday that
They got to be top 3, like you said. Then
a lot of rival executives believe that the Cubs are going to take a heavy pursuit.
I heard they're going to be very aggressive this offseason.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, the Cubs are tied for third with the Mets. The Dodgers are plus 100. The Dodgers are plus 100. Giants plus 550. Yeah, I think it's either the Cubs or the Dodgers. Personally, they have Suzuki.
Yeah, I don't really see him going to San Francisco.
Well, San Francisco.
I understand why he would, but I just don't see it.
They're always in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
They spend money. That's a really good organization over there. They'll win the World Series once every 10 years for the rest of our life, I think.
I mean, that's fair.
They're really good. Maybe not once every 10 years, but they're always in the mix for buying players and being a good team. That is a top 5 MLB franchise in terms of how well they're run, in my opinion. So that's our show. I hope everybody enjoyed. Make sure you tune into all the network's other great shows that we got going on here. Make sure you read all Frankie's shit at apptrigger.com, all my shit at all the websites. I just retweeted 3 of my articles that were written today, and all of them are about teams that wear teal. The Jaguars and the Sharks, obviously.
Like our color of our show today.
And I found that to be hilarious. It was the theme of our show today, the color teal. Today's a very teal day. I like the color teal.
I love the color teal.
Yeah, it's a very nice color. So, and then, all my sock stuff, the GM meetings are going on right now. I'm on call at any point. Any big thing can happen. It's just been an absolute dynamite of a time. So I love it. I love it very much. And it's going to be a great, great off season for baseball, I think, in terms of entertainment. Not so good for the White Sox, but it is what it is. In terms of baseball as a whole, though, love it. Hockey, love it. Hope everybody enjoys the weekend and stay safe out there. I know it's going to start getting cold, so
start.
Absolutely.
It is already cold.
And special shout out to my Katie. I love you very much. It's 2 years on Friday.
Holy
2 years on Friday.
Congratulations to you guys.
Thank you.
Wow.
It's been long and loving.
Holy
and I'm very, very happy. So, we're going to get out and celebrate that a little bit this weekend. So I'm not going to be around in the sports scene as much starting Friday afternoon, but, we'll be right back at it starting on Sunday. And, a lot of stuff going on in like I said, the GM meetings. We got boots on the ground over in the GM meetings ready to help us get stuff off the ground in terms of what we're writing about at Southside Showdown into Windy City. So very much looking forward to all of that. Hopefully it's good for everyone. And Frank, I hope you had a good show. I certainly did. I loved every second of it. To Skokes and everybody else in the chat, we love you very much. And as always, thank you for listening.